The president of Korea announces the end of the world after a zombie-inducing asteroid strikes Japan, turning people into bloodthirsty flesh eaters. The apocalypse begins, and panic erupts everywhere. No one knows what to do or where to run. But there's one guy who's more than ready. He's got his own safe shelter in another world, and he's been waiting a long time to crush some zombie asses. That guy is our MC, Seong-ho. Months ago, Seong-ho and his friends played Sura, the most difficult virtual survival game ever made. The game was sweaty and difficult to the point most players stopped playing it completely. Seong-ho's party ditched him with the ultimate betrayal of never logging back in again. He was left alone playing and streaming the game, facing all kinds of monsters, and becoming the best. Sick of his life one day, our boy took off his headgear and deleted all of his public streams. Seong-ho focused on his life as a chef, and found a cute girl as his favorite customer. He jokingly decides to chant status window in real life, and stuns himself when he actually sees a real blue screen hovering before his eyes. The screen outlines his stats. They're the same from the game he played with one difference. He has a new ability called Private Portal. Testing this ability, Seong-ho materializes a human-sized warp gate. His mind struggles to comprehend the dangers of this new discovery, because if the game is real, then the meteor that started the apocalypse was also coming. On the web, Seong-ho frantically stumbles across one such article about the steroid's incoming fall. He refuses to accept that the events of the game are occurring in real life. Our boy stares at the portal before his eyes. First, he received confirmation of the asteroid, and now this portal gate, confirming that something is wrong. Hesitating, he wonders if he should really enter this thing at all. With no powers, no bitches, no plans and money, he contemplates stepping foot inside. In the end, Bro reflects on a few things and grabs the nearest ladle he could find. There, he sticks the ladle inside the portal to get a good feel of what was at the bottom of the other side. After scooping some dirt, he realizes that the other side isn't taking place inside a labyrinth stage of the game. That's a good thing, but he's also starting to wonder if this portal will teleport him to a different location on Earth. Having packed his bags to prepare for the trip, he encourages himself to finally go inside. In the next scene, Bro's past the portal and discovers the beauty of the other side. It's a scenery without anything urban in sight. The first thing this guy notices is just how cold the weather is compared to the usual. With no signal on his phone, this dude analyzes that he's stuck in some kind of remote area that won't be reached by anyone easily. Long story short, Bro's fucked if he's stuck here. Taking out a Sharpie, he marks one of the trees with a number 0. This is actually a smart move on his part, to make sure that he doesn't get too lost in his exploration process. He starts walking and walking, but the walk takes a toll on him. The forest appears endless with nothing in sight. Right when this guy was begging for things to get interesting, a creature glared at him nearby. Instantly, this thing pounced like a predator and scared the crap out of our boy. Luckily, it's just a gorgeous valley deer and not some kind of flesh-eating monster. An interesting detail is that the system automatically identified this unique creature for him, confirming that this place is in fact separate from the realm of Earth. The creature stares at him before dashing away without a word. Not that I expected this thing to start talking or anything, but you get what I mean. Even our protagonist thinks that it's weird for this thing to just peace out like that. The good thing is that the deer wasn't aggressive. However, things are going to get really fudging ugly for him if he runs into bloodthirsty monkeys or boars. One more interesting detail is that the valley deer never even existed in the Sura game. Right after arriving here, he had a striking hunch that this realm is related to survival life and its concepts. Taking out a blade, he walks forward, preparing himself for anything that will come out and startle him. So far, he's denied the reality of a disaster heading to end humanity, but right when he was about to give up, he found it. His eyes glanced at the shining sun apple, a mystical fruit that he plucked from the tree. First, he wonders if biting it is okay, then he takes an actual bite and experiences immediate change. The system informs him of his stamina restoration, and his body shimmers with a yellow glow. Its effects are actually the same as the sun apple juice they used to drink in the game. With one more thing serving as pure confirmation, our boy is now convinced that something terrible is soon about to happen. Bro was also shitting next to goblin poop, which means he has to be careful. Seong-ho takes a worrisome sigh, trying to strengthen his morale. But despite his beliefs, he now knows that the end of the world is soon to come. After experiencing the portal gate's effects, he exited it and went back to his original world. Here, Seong-ho began brainstorming solutions. He wanted to be ready for the apocalypse to come. So the first thing he did was review all of the footage of the game and stored it in a personal hard drive. Conveniently, he actually streamed the game every time he played it, so he could easily save that data, though he never even expected to use it like this one day. News of the asteroid's fall reached him. The Japanese destruction would begin in 32 days alongside the start of the apocalypse. Until then, he decided to prepare because the game was unfortunately full of the worst mechanics ever. The craziest and problematic of them all was something called Iron Death disease. This little phenomenon resulted in the corrosion and destruction of every piece of metal on Earth. Buildings ravaged to dust, and it aided the zombie swarm hours after it happened. With the obliteration of metal in modern-day society, humanity returned to the Stone Age. The Iron Death disease eventually subsided in the game, but the main problem was the fact that it literally lasts for an entire year. Even then, the incoming Iron Death disease didn't mean much to our boy, who had a safe solution to access his private portal thanks to his newly acquired trait. Of course, Seong-ho has a very strong assumption that the disease will be incapable of passing through the portal. Wrapping up his analysis, he chalked up all of the money he saved to buy premium tier equipment. Bro was about to enter a Call of Duty zombie apocalypse lobby in real time, so he got all the gear and supplies for survival. Checking the forums at night, Seong-ho found himself disappointed by the few people who abused their awakened abilities for a life of crime and enjoyment. Morning came around. He bought more supplies to aid his eventual mission. On the way back, Bro even bought a hunting bow for surety. While doing all of this, he faced a realization. Seong-ho thought that maybe he was overthinking all of this. Maybe he was getting ahead of himself and acting hastily. Still, he thought he could earn all his savings back eventually, even if he was wrong. With his morning errands completed, he returned home and put up a closing sign on his shop. Seong-ho was in the middle of his thoughts when he suddenly heard someone's voice. Temu Cha-hein from Solo Leveling worriedly asks about the closed shop. He tells her that it's just for some remodeling work, which makes her wonder if he scored it big time and earned a lot of money. Seong-ho quickly exits the conversation by stating that he's got some work to do, but suddenly she stops him and tries to ask a question. The girl ends up flustered and doesn't actually state her request, turning back to leave. Seong-ho is curious about her question, and though he could have easily pushed her for an answer, he went back to his business. Inside, he vowed to take things seriously and work on stuff that actually mattered. Bro really said, "I'm gonna ignore baddies and lock in for real." He commands open the portal, reflecting on his actual game style. One could call him a playmaker or a planner, a guy who loves using strategies to overcome each stage. He wasn't exactly a powerful combatant and mostly relied on his brains. The reason is actually simple. In Sura, there's a complicated way of earning stats. You don't just acquire them after level ups. You only acquire them after hunting and exploring. Right now, our boy is in the other realm trying to hone his skills with the bow. Clearly with no practice and teaching before, Bro uses YouTube tutorials to teach himself. Seong-ho postures himself correctly and takes aim to shoot. A side of him from the game is reflected in his experience until he eventually lets go of the shot. The arrow flings its way to the board, hitting the target. Bro is actually stunned by his talent to the point he thinks he's the chosen one. However, with how sore his hand is, Seong-ho realizes that his real drawback is his strength. That's why he wants to focus on working out and boosting his physical endurance. With basic preparations wrapped up, he would now move to the next step. Immediately, he needed to take care of two things. The first was to outline a way to hunt down monsters properly. The second was to build a home base where he could store supplies without worry. However, at the moment, he had no weapons and absolutely no supplies because they were in the process of delivery. Until then, he hunted golden apples and went crazy with his luck running into them. Having marked a few spots, he taught himself to prepare for the apocalypse to come. His early preparation is the same reason he survived in Sura for as long as he did. Looking around, Seong-ho runs into Goblin Waste. He'd been meaning to find it, merely for a simple goal. The thing about goblins is that they love acting in groups. The fact that only one piece of shit was on the ground, and I mean that literally, tells him that there's one around here. Poop Inspector Pro Max interacts with the waste and judges that the goblin must be an outcast. Seong-ho knows this guy will be his golden ticket. He's got to hunt him down as best he can. By night, his search for the lone goblin continued. He heard wolves nearby, which signifies that he's closer to the valley, and then he spots the same goblin he was looking for. Seong-ho hid behind a tree, but he could see that this thing looks identical to the creatures of the game. Now, goblins are supposed to be the lowest grade of monsters. Their only weapons are spears and poisonous darts. They're best known for mutilating their opponents and torturing them. It's actually the very reason our boy chose a long-ranged weapon, a bow, for his first choice. From the looks of things, the goblin is old and in shit condition. It doesn't have any weapons, so Seong-ho instantly whips his bow. He knows that if he can maintain his calm, he'll kill this thing. Upon the release of the bow, the arrow shoots right through the goblin's arm, piercing its arm. Seong-ho aimed for its head, but he's happy with the result. Utilizing this advantage, he tries to take his second shot, but the goblin throws a stone so hard that his weapon is launched out of his hands. Seong-ho realizes that he's dealing with a mature and experienced goblin. Both of them prepare their blades for close-quarters combat. The ultimate showdown between Sung Jin-woo and Beirut begins. Shit, wait, wrong story. Seong-ho loads his knife and tries to slash the goblin's side. The experienced goblin dodges and smacks our boy's kneecap pretty damn hard. Taking things to the ground, Seong-ho tackles the goblin, forcing it on its back. Here he has the clear advantage. Seong-ho takes the blade and plunges it deep inside the creature's chest, causing it to scream in pain. Eventually, the light from its eyes fades. The first kill has been successful, and Seong-ho acquires 2 points because of it. He can't even believe that he managed to do what he did. Scanning his environment, he finds guaca powder and vegetable oil nearby. In the game, combining these results in an ointment. But first, he needed to dig up fast. It's far too dangerous to let this goblin rot outside, because the group could find it and hunt Seong-ho because of it. Leaving it to rot isn't a good idea either, because it will turn into something called a bone creeper. Seong-ho finds a pair of red trouts nearby. Seong-ho's heart trembles as he realizes he's fucked. The moment he averts his gaze, Bro discovers the creepiest owl monster staring down at him. Before this segment, we go back to Seong-ho's runs in the game when he was a player. During his streams, he compiled a bunch of material insight for the game. Some of his chat members donated money just for him to dive right into the goods. Seong-ho got into the bottom of it and described his experience with goblins and kobolds last time. Avoiding Bone Creeper is essential as well, but the forest houses 2 of the most dangerous creatures in the game. These are werewolves and owlbears. Owlbears are territorial creatures, which means their existence creates harmony in the monster ecosystem. Remembering the era of streaming, Seong-ho found warmth in his heart. There was this one guy, Bulsungman, who was always happy for him. The others were chill and a bit weird, like Barking Dog Dude who just couldn't stop typing woof in chat for some reason. Strangely enough, Seong-ho wonders why he's facing such happy memories. Is it because he's staring down the incarnation of literal horror before him? A creature that was going to end his life. Seong-ho refuses to accept reality. It's as if those memories are telling him to concentrate. He uses every moment at his disposal to think of a plan. He already knows that the owlbears are damn near vicious and tear apart anything in front of them. The fact that the creature is standing still without doing anything implies that it isn't as hungry. But the more important thing getting on his nerves right now is that they've invaded the territory of the red trout. With all of these important factors considered, Seong-ho realizes that there's possibly only one way for him to escape this nightmarish situation. Turning his feet, he reminds himself that he's still the Kimbap Joa in his head, even if his body is the lowly physique of Kang Seong-ho. Gritting his teeth, he challenges the monster to face him, a final declaration of his will to survive. The creature eyes him down, initiating its terrorizing first attack. The owlbear is especially great at hunting at night, but its main weakness is direct sunlight. Having memorized its patterns in the game, Seong-ho knows that he only has to execute to save his life. Matching the timing of the beast's attack, Seong-ho excellently evades the slash, and at the same time thinks of a way to create some kind of light effect to terrify the monster. Bursting with speed, he runs up the creature's huge arm, before finally whipping out a flashlight and blinding its eyes point blank. This effect is so traumatizing for even a predator like the owlbear that it is completely blinded. The next scene cuts to our boy rotting in his bed as his alarm rings. He knows he has to get back up, even after his body is sore as shit after last night. Seong-ho passed out right after returning home. His last memory is him running for his life after blinding the monster. As luck would have it, he ran it into an owlbear right after facing a goblin. Bro doesn't want to deal with that shit again and tries to get up to eat something. He kisses the floor with a thud, realizing that his legs are annihilated after that cardio. Luckily, he's still got those golden apples from the other realm. Seong-ho grabs one and takes a bite, instantly rejuvenating his stamina with its effects. Finally, he feels more alive than ever before, wondering if he should now properly satiate his stomach. But after tidying himself up, Bro ends up running into Temu Cha Hein again. She's come here to eat in a different restaurant and coincidentally ran into him. Seong-ho wasn't looking for company, but she sat here because she likes having a meal buddy. Mik-young hurriedly asks him if he tried opening the status window. Her enthusiastic attitude makes Seong-ho realize that this must be the topic she wanted to discuss last time, but stopped herself from. Mik-young shows him the news and assures him that it's real. Some awakened players are actually using their powers to steal money from others. Seong-ho is a little startled by her confidence to ask something like that directly. He answers her by lying and saying that nothing showed up. The thing is, Seong-ho feels like he's doing the right favor by keeping others blind about his status. First of all, his trait is strategic and not combat-focused. It's something he can utilize to the best of his advantage, instead of sharing with others. Right now, not even his personal safety is guaranteed. If he ends up revealing his hand to the lady in the red dress, which in this case is her, then things could really end up badly for him. It's a smart play. However, the dude is intrigued how Mik-young is taking so much interest in asking about awakening. Then comes a surprise from her. She hesitates and even admits to stating a lie. Seong-ho assumes good intentions from her and even assures her that she doesn't have to say anything. He encourages her that there's still time and heads home shortly after their conversation. Finally, his delivery packages arrived. Stuff he ordered came and now he didn't need to worry about supplies. He moved his stuff up to the rooftop and only kept important stuff on the second floor. During his preparation work, he selected a whole bunch of items necessary for today's mission. Stuff like gas masks and suits and other equipment. For his upcoming mission, our boy intends to find a proper location to use as a hideout. It's necessary for him to build a home base, hence the purpose of the axe. Passing through the portal, Seong-ho faces his first lead in finding a hideout. He accidentally discovered a goblin cave while looking for the old goblin. Recalling its location, he travels to that exact same spot and finds it. It's a pretty convenient spot to hide, one that is perfect for his plans. However, first he needed to verify the kind of monsters that lived here. Seong-ho scans the environment and finds tiny footprints of kobolds passing by. This is actually a discovery to celebrate, because these guys aren't any trouble at all. Seong-ho had already come here with a plan against any low-level monsters to begin with, so he had nothing to worry about. The thing about kobolds is that they're nocturnal creatures. They're currently sleeping, so our boy's plan is to suffocate them inside. First, he gathers a bunch of firewood by cutting some branches. Afterwards, he places the collected group at the entrance. The next idea is to spill gasoline all over it. Seong-ho thought he was going to clear this mission with no trouble because all he had to do now was light up a fire. But then he shockingly heard their noise. They came out of their slumber and immediately locked eyes with their next meal. Seong-ho gently greets them, before whipping his axe and lunging forth into action. In a simple swing, he slashes both monsters around their necks, killing them immediately. The reason they went down so easily is because of the drowsiness from earlier. Thanks to these consecutive kills, the system awards him with an increase in level and 4 points. Next, Seong-ho tosses the lighter in the firewood. Shortly after, the fumes start to go inside. In the Sura game, low-level monsters had one glaring weakness. They were vulnerable to new things, and this was one of them. Our boy waited with a gas mask outside. Though he could have tried to burn them directly, this method was even more effective with the cleanup process. The slumbering kobolds frantically woke up and ran outside to save themselves. Seong-ho intentionally chose this strategy to weaken their bodies and create confusion among their escape. The moment they stepped outside, his objective was to take advantage while they were down to kill them at once. Though he expected at least 5 of them to come out, Seong-ho is stunned that only 4 did. This is different from their usual group of 7. Aiming at one of the kobolds, Seong-ho slaughters it dead, declaring that only 3 of them now remain. The remaining 3 ran up to him, doing what little they could do to attack. But our boy was ready with his axe. This man was swinging home runs with the weapon and taking them down. Another kobold tries to attack, but the all-powerful fart spray of death blinds him point blank. Before it could even do anything, Seong-ho helped cut off its head. With just one final one left, our boy stares down at their leader fidgeting in fear. He has become the hunter and declares their end, promising to make good use of their hideout. The bloodbath ends at last, with Seong-ho fatigued on the ground. His lack of stamina is the real drawback right now, even though they were easy to beat. The system's stats, interestingly, are no different than from the game. Even the debuff section from the exhaustion state. Status points not increasing after level up is the same too. Still, leveling up will eventually unlock shop items for him, so that's good on its own. Right now, the most convenient thing is that he can use a private space of his own. But as much as our boy wanted to have a clean environment inside, he found himself disappointed with the mess the kobolds made. With a hideout secured, cleaning operations began. This dude had to clear so much of goblin shit that he got tired of it. Cleaning up so much felt like a pain in the ass, especially after having cleared a proper fight. Seong-ho cursed at the shitty creatures for living in garbage. Still, he had nothing to worry about anymore with a new home base. Seong-ho returns to his side of the world every time he needs to take out the trash. That was a benefit, but still it took him so much time to clean up. The one thing that surprises him the most is discovering how easy it is to use items between dimensions. So he used a pipe from one side and activated it on the other, even astonishing himself with how well it works. Hours of effort aside, the place is now glittering with cleanliness. Next, he needs to clear bloodstains and work on pouring concrete, so storing stuff is easier. He thinks about the complications of mortar and using sandwich panels. But the one good thing about this shitty cave is that it is full of luminous and ignition stones. These are newbie stones in the game, but the place is full of them, so that's good. Seong-ho now has a reason to mine this place properly after construction. The following day, bro is at the edge of his life. He's working so hard every day that his body is aching all over. Checking his arm, he surprises himself with the few cuts he endured. His collected items from the other realm rest on the table side. Seong-ho wonders if he should make an ointment using this as an opportunity. The method's pretty simple. In goes the guaca powder and vegetable with equal ratio, then some stirring, and there we have it. A low-level ointment for basic healing. Thanks to our boy's background in cooking, the chef has an easier time making these. Just applying the ointment on his arm feels like a step in progress. However, Seong-ho is troubled with the realization that he might have to make it again and again. He contemplates the idea of raising his stats by focusing on fundamentals, but then again he's risking his life so much that he could even die before the damn apocalypse arrives. Even though that would be funny as shit, Seong-ho doesn't want to take the risk and thinks of using a more convenient weapon like a gun. Suddenly a thought clicks his head. There is definitely something he could use. Separated from the main storyline of the game, we have its background lore. But the big question is, will that background lore even apply to the incoming apocalypse? Utilizing that information, Seong-ho calls his thoughts, hoping for the backstory events to occur, because they'll benefit him in unimaginable ways. With a new plan created, this guy goes up to the rooftop for the construction materials he ordered. Opening the portal gate, our boy starts tossing these bags to the other side one by one. After that, he went ahead to pick some other items, then went down to the first floor. Here, he was about to move a pile of packages when suddenly that same girl popped up again. Seong-ho is starting to wonder if she's getting too comfortable with him at this point. Bro says it straight to her face, causing her embarrassment. He assures her that he's just busy with remodeling work, and she thinks he's telling the truth. What surprises her is that he hasn't come in for his regular haircut every 3 months. Seong-ho remembers yes, and also understands that a haircut is needed for the incoming exploration. So he drops what he's doing and goes to her shop. Here, Bro is looking like a Korean version of Moist Critical. He orders her to shave it all off, the buzz cut Sigma arc. Surprised, she decides to carry out his request. What intrigues her is how Seong-ho's shoulders have gotten broader. I mean, let's be honest, no girl is ever going to say that for real. He tells her he's been working out, while Mik-young talks about the status window being related to the game's survival life. Awakeners are people who have played the game at least once. All this time, Seong-ho plays dumb and agrees with everything. But he also curiously asks about her source of information. Suddenly, one tatted dude enters the shop, revealing that he's here for the new intel. Hilariously, this guy happens to have fought Seong-ho in the past, but only in a singing competition. Our boy is pissed that this clown happens to be her source of information. The blonde hair tells her that a certain someone deleted the streams and only keeps information for himself. It's an awkward moment because this guy even announces that he's trying to dox the player's real location. Seong-ho is really curious about this mystery person. In-hack name drops Kimbap Joa, which was Seong-ho's username. This complicates things already, because now our boy knows that people are genuinely out there hunting him down. In-han forces the young lady to be bold and to join their team. Seong-ho thinks the whole situation is stupid. The only reason he deleted the video is simply because he was disappointed. He never had any time to think about personal benefits. Anyway, this punk is a know-it-all wannabe who talks big game. He even curses at Seong-ho for ditching everyone without publicly posting information of his streams, not knowing that the very same guy he's currently hunting is sitting in front of him. Seong-ho wonders if the community's reaction is the same as well. This makes him wonder if he should really change course and share information. Bro personally gets up to personally confront In-hak, scolding him for ruining his haircut in the middle of a session. In-hak tries to play Mr. Tough Guy with our boy, but Seong-ho glares at the midget with murderous eyes, ordering him to get lost quickly unless he wants to be humiliated again. Intimidated, the punk exits the shop as the lady bids him farewell. Mik-young feels relieved. Seeing her in distress, our boy asks for her number, only because he thinks this guy is genuinely a clown who could threaten her life. Back at home, our boy is looking like a model with his new look. First, he focused on his username and decided to look up information in the forum. What he found was alarming. The whole forum was flooded with curses and swears directed at him. He was receiving endless hate until he actually ended up finding the username of In-hak. The clown even used a nickname despite having full verification accessible on the website. His entire page was flooded with negative commentary about our boy. A true hater and redditor in spirit, body, and soul, Seong-ho switches off his computer, knowing that it's the only appropriate reaction. He wasn't mentally affected, just disappointed. But then, his brain felt a strange sense of calm as he commanded the portal. He spent the next 2 days refining his hideout, working on mining and construction. The pickaxe helped him, and then he spread the mortar with water, smoothing it evenly each day. With work finished, he comes out waiting for the mortar to dry. During this moment, he stares at the lonely moon. Suddenly, Seong-ho realized that he had to respond to this injustice and level of cruelty. He's not some kind of hero, and he's not looking for a grandiose purpose in life. His ultimate goal is ultimate survival. That's all that matters, as long as he's winning. Making his resolution, he turns around and finds himself frightened. There's a bone creeper clanking up to him. Seong-ho was already pissed off, so he's finally found a target to focus his attention on. A loud explosion follows, engulfing everything in flames. The next time our boy wakes up, he's covered in scratches. He doesn't even know what the hell happened just now. But then he remembered the sight of the bone creeper. The one part boggling his mind is how he was able to survive from a point-blank explosion. But that's got an answer too. Right after he spotted the bone creeper, Seong-ho already knew the fucker was about to explode to bits. So he ran for it, but the detonation still caught up to him, knocking him with enough force to go unconscious and not die. However, that little move back there did cost him too. Seong-ho is full of pricks stabbed on his right side. Mustering what little strength he has, he calls the status window to help. The system stats have taken a decrease because of his current state, but thanks to the creature's destruction, he gets points for its defeat. A ringing headache is starting to take over, burdening Seong-ho's senses. Expending his final ounce of energy, he commands open the portal. In the next scene, the first thing he did was treat his wounds. This involves removing the bone fragments from the creature. Those were painful to remove, and it hurt him like hell removing them. The ointment worked out its wonders, helping him stop the bleeding. Checking his condition after bandaging it further, Seong-ho resultantly ended up unconscious. That was his limit for the day. The following morning, dawn breaks and our boy is back up. He thinks he's at the verge of dying any day now. His immediate worry is to check if his wounds are healed, so he pops open the status window. The system seems to be saying he's fine, so that's good. He gets up and ponders the question of how a damn bonehead even found him in the first place. First of all, the forest is seriously vast, so it's not unlikely for creatures to come out of hiding like that suddenly. This alarms him to focus more on honing his perception stat, which would boost his detection abilities. The only ways to increase such stats in the game is by using stat points, of course. These are acquired via hunting or exploration experience. One other way to boost stats is to use equipment or weapons that boost the user. The only problem? Sura fucking sucks as a game and its difficulty is off the charts. Even to obtain simple stat items, one has to take on dangerous monsters way higher than your own level. This means going up against hellish beasts just for a weapon. After defeating monsters, skills could also be unlocked. High-level monsters especially dropped them based on certain conditions, except not every skill suited every player. So now Seong-ho wonders of a surefire way for him to acquire stat-boosting items. He decides to run the footage back to the background story he visited in the game. Such stories take place before the asteroids fall on Earth. This means that visiting such places could land you special items before the apocalypse even comes around. But that's just a theory, a game theory, get it? Seong-ho knows that he's got to fight stronger monsters too, for that matter. He spends the next few hours just reading up on past information, and learns about 3 important locations where the background stories took place: the Russian ship, the Hobgoblin, and one other. The Jiri Mountain Orc incident, the fastest of the bunch. According to the footage, the orc was discovered on the 26th, so he's got to depart on the 25th to find it early. With his next mission in sight, our boy grabs his phone and realizes that Mikyung's calling him at a late hour. In the next scene, the two are at a cafe. She asks about his condition, questioning why he chose to wear a long-sleeve shirt in the hot summer. Bro has to hide his wounds and realizes that this woman is much more observant than she seems. She thinks that he's bothered by the incident at the shop, but Seong-ho denies anything like that. She's happy to hear, expressing how scared she felt. Seong-ho reminds her of just last winter where this guy caused trouble by using an illegally modified tow truck. Then he began fighting weak people. Long story short, he's a shitty human. Mikyung is stunned to hear this news, having no intel on this guy previously, but our boy begs her to stay away from him. Seong-ho then directly asks the reason she invited him out. The cute young lady crops up in his ear and reveals that she is actually awakened. Seong-ho has no idea why she even revealed such sensitive information. Playing along naturally, he acts jealous that he didn't get the same luck. She feels bad for lying to him, but he assures her that it's okay. Concluding their meeting, he gets up to leave. Seong-ho is happy to be entrusted with that information, and admits that he feels better because of her words. Before leaving, he leaves a little clue by stating his interest in the survival life game, having full intention of studying the game now. Coming back home, Seong-ho admits that he genuinely feels happy finding people like her with good character. He checks the stores and actually ends up purchasing cool-ass drones and even a rental car for navigation. Then he heads right to his bed to recover for the next day. The next day did come around. The moment dawn broke, he began making materials for hunting the orcs. In his home base, he crushed and refined ignition stones. They had to be handled precisely, otherwise they would flare up with an incorrect hit. Next, he set his sights on the luminous stone. Mining them blinds you with their light, but it's good, so he keeps on doing it. After grinding both, he creates powder from them. This completes his setup for the mission. Next, he pours sugar, gasoline, and organic solvents. The last ingredient is a hardening agent for the ignition stone to solidify. Thanks to his dimensional gate having flexible coordinates, he could easily set up a desk without difficulty. Before leaving, he wraps up all his luggage in his rental car, satisfied with his purchase. With the goods secured, Seong-ho drives his way to Jiri Mountain to kill the orcs. He arrives at the Yungsunri campground parking lot before 12 a.m., spending the remaining time during image training and keeping his equipment safe. When the clock hits 12 a.m., he starts with his full-scale search. 2 hours later, the rain has gotten worse and the mist created by the rain makes it difficult to see ahead. He wonders where the orcs come out from the earth, as he has already taken a look around the campground. He thinks that the precursor phenomenon doesn't occur in real life, but suddenly his thoughts are cut off by a loud roar. Panicking, he looks behind him, where the sound came from. It is a dark, shadowy figure approaching him. Our boy realizes it's an orc, and not an ordinary one. It's a red orc subspecies, which means a skill drop is guaranteed. Kang Seong-ho tries to calm himself down while firing a cracker. If everything goes according to his planning, he can definitely capture it. The method he came up to deal with orcs is simple. The first step is to use the orc's aggression to draw its aggro. When the orc is distracted by the flare of the firecracker and begins to attack it with its axe, that is the moment to seize the opportunity. Aim at the orc and instantly open the portal, and instantly grab and open a flashbang. Due to the intense light, it will take around 20 seconds for the orc to bring back its vision. It creates a race with time. Then, destroy the orc's muscles, which have gotten loose due to the effect of the status, to completely make his movements drop drastically. The orc screams out of rage and uses its axe to attack on our hero to crush him. But swiftly, our guy bends down when the axe is about to hit him, dodging the attack. Then, he takes his knife and stabs the foot of the orc. The moment the orc's foot is stabbed, it yells in pain and drops to its knees. When the eye level of the orc and our protagonist's is the same, he will shove down the already made flame can into its mouth. As soon as the can goes in the mouth of the orc, it explodes. Soon, our boy begins to celebrate his victory. Suddenly, the orc's fist lands a punch on our guy, sending him flying back. He gets up, knowing he shouldn't have let his guard down already. He looks at the orc stepping his way with his upper body lit on fire, but it doesn't look like it would survive. Our boy is sure that he's about to meet his end by getting minced by the orc soon. Right then, his system notifies him that his level has risen to level 3, and he just got 10 more points, getting the skill, Will to Survive. He gets up, saying to himself he's unable to handle this, wondering where the drop item is while some light shines on his wrist. He looks at his wrist, and the drop item he gets is a watch perception. He sighs in relief because it would have been such a hassle to find the drop item in the rain. He steps near the dead orc, his head fuming, wondering what to do with it. He thinks to himself that the Jirison orc incident was under an embargo. He then wonders if it's the right thing to do by realizing the information, because the situation can get bad. Thinking about what Mi Kyung said to him about the Awakened are the people who have played that game at least once, which just means one thing: there must be several thousand people who have awakened. Even if a small minority of them are guys like O and Hawk, they will cause the collapse of the system and laws for personal gain and cause chaos to erupt. Right now the biggest problem is, he can't leave the dead orc by itself, or else it will become a bone creeper and begin to harm people by tomorrow. Suddenly a thought crosses his mind. Why didn't he think that he could become a zombie? Even if he's awakened, he could still potentially become a zombie if he got infected by the spores. He can't think of the right thing to do, being unable to make a decision. He opens the portal while he thinks about the few people who will have survived. It is certain that the will deserves an orderly end. Our boy begins to dig a hole in the ground so he can bury the orc he just killed. He gets exhausted soon and wonders how he is going to pull the orc inside. His newly found skill, Will to Survive, activates, as it gets triggered by exhaustion into completing the task right away. The hero soon begins to finish his job quickly, having no choice but to work as fast as he possibly could. Then, he throws the orc into its grave while being thankful of the skill. After that, he opens the portal and ends up in a moving car. The after effect takes time for his body to recover before he can go back to his regular activity. The next day, he wakes up wondering if the weather he's seeing is legit. According to the plan, he should have made a defense line already. He looks at his phone, wondering if the remnants of the red orc are all gone. He plans to not start anything today, it's just not the right time for him, and decides to take a look at the items that were sent in the early morning. Inside the box, there's all the weapons he needs, although he can only use it as an Indian war club. Still, a few items from the package are missing. He picks up a note which says that some of the items he ordered are illegal to have, and they couldn't go through customs. As he's busy looking at the weapons he got, he hears another delivery van and loudly tells them to leave the stuff at his front door. The door gets knocked, making our guy wonder why the delivery guy didn't listen to him. He tries to repeat it, and then opens the gate. It wasn't the delivery guy, it was Mi Kyung. She stands there, explaining that they hadn't met in a long while and she wanted to discuss something with him. She is holding a bag with some food in it, and wonders if he wants to eat some rabaki with her. Now there are just 24 days left until the apocalypse arrives. Our boy is unable to believe that Mi Kyung has finally visited his house. He's clearly getting nervous and can't stop blushing. After she serves the food, she tells him to eat before the food gets cold, and he listens to her. They are soon done eating, and he asks what she wanted to talk about. She cuts straight to the topic, as he mentioned earlier that he was looking into Surah, so she could discuss some important information over it. Well, that's not what our boy thought that she was coming to discuss. He thought maybe she wanted to date him, but he assures himself that talking about the apocalyptic things with her would be the best option right now, because he needs to have good company around him in a tough time. She quickly begins to take out the trash while our boy prepares for some more things. He got his computer out. He even revealed to her that he has awakened, because finding it out some other way wouldn't be too great. He takes a start with explaining in detail the metal death plague, and roaming around with a group which has more than 6 people makes the group an easy target for the zombies. Catching the perception of it is important for survival, making it the most important skill among the rest of it. The goal of the game is to survive. As he's about to explain further, she stops him. She discusses what Owen Hawk said. Kimba Plover getting a lot of backlash, so why isn't he spilling out information? Our boy doesn't really have an answer to her question, and asks her to take a guess. Her guess is, everyone has a reason and the circumstances justify it. Then, our boy tells her that he rejected his offer to join him, and she wonders why he would do that. He takes his phone out to show her the reason. It is a recording of them talking about kidnapping a girl, considering she is playing hard to get. Hearing all that talk makes him angry. He turns to Mi-kyung, informing her what's bound to be revealed when the apocalypse arrives, the true color of people. Our hero guides her not to trust anyone, but she startles him by suggesting to him that they should form a party together. Our guy clenches his fist, because he couldn't just blurt out an answer. One of his goals includes reaching level 10 and unlocking the shop before the tutorial, which creates a problem. In Seola, there's a system where the rank of monsters that respawn changes according to the level. If she came along with him, she is bound to die in the worst possible death. He nervously laughs, wondering what she would do if he became a zombie. She assures she will be fine and uses her trait to teleport to his dining table. She flexes about her trait called Blink. She only has to dodge him if he ever bites her. He's surprised by her skill but warns her not to just show anyone, but she says she trusts him. Brightly, she suggests that they will become a great team if they don't become zombies. A while later, he stands near trees while he thinks about how easy it was to make fences. The first step was hammering support posts into the ground to set them up. He then wrapped barbed wire around them and fixed them. After that, he installed infrared in a couple of places and his job's done. He looks at the work he did, praising himself and being sure that he should at least get 1 dexterity point for this. Seong-ho begins to walk back, completing the mortar work and creating a defense wall. He decides to start moving packages. He's done moving the boxes after a while. While he is measuring what to do next, suddenly he feels chilly and sneezes. He realizes that the other world will be cold, and soon he will have to take shelter here, so he needs to think of some countermeasures. Our hero looks at the cave entrance and decides to build a gate there since just a curtain won't suffice. With every step, his list of things to do keeps going longer. He later stops by a woodworking shop for production and buying different things. On his way back, he checked the places he will rob during the 5 hours before the metal death plague spreads. As he's making the list, he gets stopped by Hyung Jun-hyung, who he hasn't met in a long time. He is a gym director and a divorcee, and has a small young daughter. Our boy reads his expressions and they don't look too good. Hyung doesn't care much but starts taking a look at his body, which has been looking like it's getting back in shape. Then, our boy asks him what's up with him, to which he replies how obvious it is. He's upset because the world is going to end. The protagonist is surprised that he knows about it too, and Hyung wonders if our protagonist believes in it. At first, Hyung didn't believe it until his friend began to levitate, using the superpower he was granted. The protagonist lies that he hasn't awakened, and the gym guy sighs sadly that he hasn't awakened too. Now, his friend is going to the broadcasting station to make some money. The gym guy points at our boy to sit beside him, and our guy realizes that soon everyone will find out about the existence of the awakened. Hyung changes the topic to something bizarre that happened, the Uido shootout. Seong-ho couldn't believe what he heard as he didn't watch the news in the morning. He asks him to go watch the news, but the post gets taken down instantly. The media is now being controlled. Hyung explains the follow-up news, how they were trying to cover up the news by saying it was a deserter who did the shooting. Now the shootout area has been closed off for the public. Only the army and the police can visit it. Suddenly our boy gets up, makes an excuse to leave, and begins to run away. Back at home, a shootout took place right after the orc incident. This entire thing makes him think that the government is in on it since their reaction made it obvious. He opens a file on his computer and clicks on a video. Our guy is surprised to see a lot of people knowing the exact time of the precursor phenomenon. He even got rid of the orc, but the shootout occurred at the same time. While overthinking, he wonders if someone leaked the information to the government early on and tries to initiate action starting with the first precursor phenomenon. And maybe they didn't come out at the front because they do not have an offensive trait. He's not sure who it is, but there's definitely someone behind the government. Seong-ho wonders who that person could be. He researched it, and he was left with 3 veteran players. After a lot of thought, he got rid of the creator. Since they are pulling this move of the game in the means of reality, the creators of the game are likely to be villains. If the villains were backed by the government, they would never let him kill the orc. He sketches out 3 faces which are the biggest suspects. He wonders if it is the survivor number 1. And if his theory is legit, he doesn't have to share this information with the government by himself. Our guy stretches back on his chair, wondering if survivor number 1 is the guy he really knew. He misses his veteran friends and decides to trust them for now. Other than that, sharing info would still not stop the catastrophe that is coming ahead, so he will not step in yet. 2 days later, he gets his door made and his pantry is ready. The first shelter is done. He decides to install 2 logistic trays and then drill through the wall, but there is way less space than he imagined. The basement waterproofing has been done, and he has been working on it bit by bit. He walks away thinking that he will figure it out when it's done healing in phase 2. There is an important task that he needs to do, making maps with his drone. As he was doing that, with his VR set on and the drone in the air, he saw the shelter in the midpoint and started exploring around. By the drone, he was able to learn about the snowfields in the northwest and an ocean to the south. The ocean had no monsters and a lot of prey, so he decides to set up some traps to catch fish. He examined the valley to study the ecosystem around the shelter. Suddenly, he sees the spot where he buried the owlbear, but the corpse is missing. He wonders if the big furball ate it. He doesn't form a judgment because there are many footsteps near it, most of them being orc footsteps, which makes it even more suspicious. He measures a distance between the valley and the shelter, which is roughly 1.5 kilometers, making the shelter more dangerous than he assumed. Knowing that the goblins are nearby, he decides to bring back the drone to the shelter because he cannot afford losing it. He is able to sketch out a good map and knows what kind of animals are found in the forest. The next thing he has to do is to check all those areas by himself. Starting with the closest swamp, he wants to see if farming is possible. Suddenly, the infrared goes off, and he steps outside knowing that those were goblins around with their footsteps imprinted on the ground. Our boy was already thinking about it, so it creates a perfect opportunity for him. He wonders if this is because of his perception status that has recently increased. Even the smallest sound was super clear to him. After a while, he was able to spot some goblins without showing himself. It created the perfect ambush angle for him, and he pulls out his spear and arrow and launches an attack towards the goblin head. The goblin falls dead, and our boy gets supported by the other goblins, and they begin to run towards him to attack him. But he swiftly gets rid of them as if they were easy to kill. He kills 4 of them and then goes to attack the remaining 4. Our boy gets surrounded by them, but he pulls something out of his pocket, which instantly makes the goblins drop on their knees. As they are on their knees, our protagonist takes his knife and chops their heads off. He took an advantage of goblins' exhaustion into winning this battle, that even he couldn't believe that it worked. Now, the days that are left till the apocalypse arrives are 21. While digging the ground, our boy feels tired, and suddenly his trait gets triggered, and his body is again full of efficiency. He realizes that his skill is not completely useless after all. After a while, he is done burying the corpses of the goblins. Then he turns towards the loot he collected. He first collects the guaca fruit, which helps majorly and restores the strength. There is a ton of vegetable oil in the loot, which makes him think that maybe there is a harvest nearby. He looks in the pouch of the head goblin, and he is surprised to find a living toad inside of it. That toad is blue in color, making our boy wonder why would they carry a live toad instead of a dead one. Suddenly the toad starts to smell, and soon enough our boy realizes that it was a paralysis poison used by the goblins. Instantly, our boy decides that he has to raise this toad no matter what. Not only does he find the toad super cute, but being able to extract poison, he will be able to create a poison resistance by injecting it into his body. With the paralysis poison, hunting will become easier too. Then our boy decides a name for the toad, Jodok, aiming to feed Jodok a lot. His system begins to notify him about the toad now being his property. He wonders if this is like a hidden gimmick added in reality. He begins to overthink and overanalyze the situation. After that, our boy starts exploring and opens the dimensional gate. With that gate, he keeps going back and forth and finally completes his reorganization. After that, he immediately begins to search the surroundings and then finds a spring which he accidentally missed in the drone. He looks at the water and realizes that it is ordinary water and nothing too dangerous about it. He is surprised to find a hideout near his shelter, and right behind the spring he finds a guaca tree and vegetable oil buds. Our boy picked the guaca fruits and harvested a proper amount of vegetable oil buds. After that, he left marks on trees everywhere he went, so he wouldn't forget the way to this place and began to head back. At his apartment, he feeds his new pet, Jodok. He's raising his pet on the second-floor apartment for the time being. He couldn't leave Jodok in the hideout because it would die. Other than taking care of his pet, there were more things to do. The longest thing that took was making the ointment and accidentally made too much of it. He doesn't know what to do. He can't give it to Mi Kyung because she is a fellow awakener too, so he decides to give it to Hyung. At Hyung's place, he drinks the protein drink and our boy gave him the ointment, making him wonder what that is. Our guy explains that he bought too much of it, and it's supposed to be good for wounds. Hyung jokingly asks if he's getting into marketing, and our hero denies. Still, Hyung is grateful to him for the ointment and for sending him Sura-related information. But our boy thanks him for telling him about the shooting incident. Then, Seong-ho observes the gym being way too quiet, to which his friend explains that everyone went to make plans after the broadcasting guy spread the information he knew about. So now, they are deciding to make a base here. Our hero warns him that having too many people is a sign of danger, but Hyung just doesn't want to abandon his members. He's too loyal to them. Then Hyung wonders what Seong-ho plans to do, and he just brushes it off. Suddenly they hear a scream and Seong-ho finds it familiar. He looks down at the building and he sees Mi Kyung on the ground. Both of them rush to her, wondering what happened. She explains that she was attacked, but couldn't see who attacked her. Hyung instantly goes to check outside the building and the entire area, despite our boy trying to stop him from going out for the moment. Meanwhile, our boy sticks with Mi Kyung, and she elaborates that everything went dark in front of her eyes, and she couldn't process what happened. Hearing that, a chill runs down the spine of our hero realizing what's happening, and he urges her to instantly use her ability blink whenever something like that happens, because they have started moving. He also assures that he will send her a self-defense kit soon, and urges her to be really careful from now on. Only 20 days left until the apocalypse approaches. There is a famous meme from the past. If 5 people gather, one of them is bound to be useless. Trollers exist everywhere in the world, especially in Sura. In Sura, there exist patches for interference. The developers answer the reports but do not catch the trollers. In Sura, trollers join a team, acting like normal players, but afterward lure the party into an area filled with monsters, making the entire team wipe out. They approach beginners with kindness, only to kill them later and steal their belongings. Trollers have done all kinds of things to make parties fight each other. They made the game, which was already not famous, fall in just 1 year. Some users dropped to 4 because Seong-ho's team took care of the remaining trollers. Our boy wonders why he is explaining all this, then summarizes everything he has found so far. The Awakener communities combined after the Uedo shootout. They are not only giving information, but also plotting schemes. He pauses mid-sentence, as he finds out people are selling his videos as well. As our protagonist surfs more on the site, he learns that his teammate Dawajusem was a troller. He gets stunned to see the thumbnail of Dawajusem's video, stating about being carried by Kimbap Zhao. Now Seong-ho wonders if that troller is trying to lure people with some edited video. Surprisingly, he claps for Dawajusem as Dawajusem is praised for his thinking. He stretches as he decides to train more in order to tackle those kinds of people. For the next 13 days, whenever he got time, our hero constantly learned weapon usage and techniques that can be used in real combat from a survival MeTube channel online. On the other hand, in that time period, he saw attacking monsters, including hideouts. Plus, there are a number of strategies and weapons that did not consider the wire disease. Therefore, after training in those 13 days, Seong-ho is finally looking forward to choosing a main weapon, a weapon that can be used if the wire disease comes, and which is also good for anti-personnel combat and monster elimination. He looks into his tool bag and finds an Indian war club, wooden slingshot, ochre clay beads, and handmade stone axe. However, not a single one fits with his conditions. Then at first, our protagonist decides to try the slingshot. It has high utility in many ways. However, the ochre clay beads are ambiguous as their power is weak. Next, he decides to use the Indian war club. He reflects that, once the wire disease was taken as a given, there was no need to worry. The easiest way to eliminate a zombie is to destroy the spores living inside the skull with a blunt weapon. He recalls that the first weapon he decides to buy after reaching level 10 is a blunt weapon type item, Ebony Wood Club, and that's why it was essential for him to raise his proficiency. But now our boy wonders if the Indian War Club is good against people as well. He believes it is ambiguous, because it will be difficult for him to handle a psychic awakener with this. He knows that in survival life, killing a human gives 50 points. The murderer system, which required death matches with the nearby players if registered as a murderer, prevented the abuse of player killing. Although there will be a high number of people who will eliminate users for the sake of more points, even being suffered by demerits. Meanwhile, he completely destroys the dummy with his Indian War Club. He decides to avoid those kinds of players until he finishes item and skill farming. After training hard, our hero wipes his sweat from his place, while planning to dismantle the store completely, but he stops mid-sentence as he hears a wolf sound coming from nearby. He gets shocked, wondering if one has gotten injured near the hideout. Later, Seong-ho finds the wolf, which is bigger than normal size. Our boy can even ride on it. The system reveals its name, Grey Wolf, but as he observes it closely, he notices it is not breathing. He wonders if this is a stray wolf or one that came near his hideout after being attacked. To find more information, our protagonist starts checking its injuries. However, out of nowhere, a young little wolf hits him on his back. Seong-ho learns the dead wolf is actually the mother of this little wolf, which stands between him and its mother, so it can protect its mother. He gets confused because he can't use force to separate that little wolf from its mother. He grabs a shovel as our hero decides to bury the dead wolf quickly. As he starts digging a hole, he thinks if that wolf was a monster, then it will turn into a bone creeper, and if not, then it will attract more monsters. After some time, the hole is completely dug, while the younger wolf is sleeping beside its mother, reminding our boy of his younger self and Mung-chi, the dog he raised in his childhood. Next, he grabs the little wolf, explaining that its mother will be sleeping here. He adds that it can visit its mom whenever it wants, as he plans to make a dog hole in the hideout door. Then, Seong-ho gives the wolf a piece of meat, promising to make sure it will never starve until it grows up. He asks its help in return, with its amazing sense of smell. When he asks if it agrees, the small wolf happily answers by making a soft sound. Then, our protagonist gives it a name, Dingo, as he pats its head. The system window pops up, notifying that he has succeeded in communication with the Grey Wolf, and this Grey Wolf, Dingo, will be considered his property. With that, there are 19 days remaining until the apocalypse arrives. Seong-ho is busy training Dingo. He instructs it to repeat the actions he just taught. When our boy calls for a paw, Dingo places it on his owner's hand. Then the wolf runs as instructed, sits, lies down, and stays quiet, following every command our hero gives. Lastly, he throws a big piece of bone into the air, and Dingo successfully catches it with a leap. Our protagonist feels satisfied as he notes how quickly it learns, likely because it is from another world. He reflects on its excellent scent tracking skills and, in his mind, considers Dingo a bundle of luck and a blessing. He cares for his adorable companion with a kiss and starts to say something, but his phone rings. As Seong-ho picks up the phone, he sees a message from Hyung, who suggests searching levitation on the web. Later, our hero finds an article about a person being called the first superhuman, someone who claims zombies and monsters will soon appear and bring disaster. That article has reached rank 1. In the comments, people are skeptical, believing the broadcast channel did this only for ratings. He notes there are many who know nothing about eras, but the Awakeners are clearly alarmed in the comments section. He finds it amusing how some get upset when little information is shared, and others get angry when what they know becomes widespread. Next, our protagonist wonders how the government will react. He is aware of people holding rallies about shock and superpowers, but snaps out of it, deciding not to get involved with such matters. Though he implies the government will eventually act once the second omen, the Hobgoblin event, occurs, Seong-ho decides not to waste a moment. He tells Dingo that from today they will begin exploration. Deep down, our boy knows thorough preparation is the only solution, and Dingo seems eager for it. Later, they enter the portal world, and Seong-ho reflects on why he chose interdimensional exploration with Dingo. He lets Dingo sniff a small pouch and orders it to find it. The first reason for this type of exploration is to prepare for the upcoming Hobgoblin event, as he needs Dingo to properly imprint the scent of goblins. Meanwhile, Dingo barks, having found the flesh in the bushes, and our hero feels proud that it tracked it down from just a lingering scent. The second reason is to test if Dingo can stay calm in live combat and follow commands. So, he signals, and the wolf immediately dashes forward. With great precision, Dingo hunts a rabbit on the grass, and our protagonist praises it. The third reason for exploration is to confirm if hunting is possible in the other world. Seong-ho approaches Dingo to inspect its prey, observing the dead rabbit and noting its strong claws and large size. Afterwards, our boy and his little wolf continue exploring. Moving ahead, he wonders what Dingo's cognition would look like as stats. He decides to head toward the valley to verify it himself. Then, a system window appears, notifying him that Dingo's health has increased by 1. Remembering his own health stat as Kimbafo was 170, our hero is impressed by how fast Dingo is growing. Suddenly, Dingo begins to cough, and our protagonist rushes over to offer water. He reminds his partner not to go alone into the woods. Dingo drinks, while our boy spots a large green pepper nearby and wonders if it ate that. The system reveals it is called bull pepper. Seong-ho is pleased to find it in the woods and praises Dingo, promising plenty of treats later. He digs to harvest the bull pepper. Next, they set out for their final hunt. Both of them sit on rocks at the edge of a stream. This time, Dingo doesn't detect any unusual sense or presence. Deep down, our boy reflects that red trout aren't monsters and don't give points or items. However, he believes it's essential for young Dingo to gain experience, which is valuable. After hunting red trout, our protagonist decides to finish preparations for Phase 2, then return home. The following day, his entire restaurant is demolished. The manager of the demolishing company tells our hero to contact them within 3 days if there are any repair issues. He thanks the manager sincerely for working so early in the morning. Taking a deep breath, he feels a bit sad to see the place destroyed, but knows it was necessary. As he steps inside, Seong-ho assumes that after the apocalypse, those who don't turn into zombies will likely loot stores. He admits he would do the same, so he has no right to complain. As he starts cleaning up, Hyung appears behind him, observing the empty room. Hyung mentions he's also left only the bare minimum equipment. When our boy wonders aloud why Hyung is there, Hyung snaps his fingers against Seong-ho's forehead, angry that our hero left the previous day without a word. Now, Hyung says, he came just to check if Seong-ho is even alive. Meanwhile, Dingo watches Hyung with cold eyes. Hyung wonders aloud if Seong-ho always had a dog, but he explains that one is long gone. He adds that this is his new pet, and Hyung calls the wolf adorable. Then, Seong-ho asks again why he is here, and Hyung repeats that he only came to check on him. Our hero doesn't believe that, so Hyung shares another reason for his visit. He admits he was worried, but also reveals that he's found the people behind the attack on Mi-kyung. With that, only 17 days remain until the apocalypse arrives. Sitting down with Hyung, Seong-ho learns that the party organized by Kim Cheol-jun, the man known for always wearing a hat, is actually targeting Mi-kyung. Hyung also mentions that the tow truck, which our boy dislikes, is involved with their party as well. He points toward the mountains in front of them and asks if the area near the base of the mountain is where redevelopment halted, adding that their hideout is situated there. However, our protagonist is curious how Hyung was able to discover all this, and Hyung explains that the clues simply lined up. He states that Han Jin-seong, the one who can levitate, had recently appeared on a variety show, and Hyung had asked him directly. Han Jin revealed he had met with Cheol-jun's group before, but their members were all unpleasant. so Han-jin refused to stay with them due to conflicting personalities. After what happened to Mi-kyung, all the female members started leaving the party. When questioned about their departure, those women only said they had received offers from other Awakener parties. Hyung asks for Seong-ho's opinion, and our hero responds that, unlike Mi-kyung, the other female members must have been tricked into joining. Hyung then suddenly reveals that their party is now down to 4 members, including himself. This revelation stuns our boy, who remembers there were 20 members just days before. Hyung does not elaborate, but he knows that now their party has only 2 Awakeners. Seong-ho struggles to process this, recalling that they had done favors for those members who still decided to leave. Yet, Hyung remains composed, telling our protagonist that this is simply how things are. Those people were just looking after themselves. More than this, Hyung says he is worried about little Ji-eun, debating whether or not to contact his ex-wife. Our boy keeps a straight face, knowing their situations are not the same, and he wants to know if his own thinking is correct. He wants to ask Hyung something that has been on his mind. Our protagonist wonders, if the apocalypse really comes and people start threatening Hyung, what would he do? Before he can finish, Hyung cuts him off, insisting he would not hesitate to kill them. Hyung says he has a principle against hurting others, but in a disaster without law, there would be no other choice. He believes that in such times, there is no space for evil to survive. Then, Hyung curiously asks why Seong-ho would bring up such a question, noting that it does not seem like him. Our boy does not provide a real answer, and right then someone yells for help. The sound comes from our hero's cell phone. Hyung wonders if it is the sound of a lost child, but Seong-ho checks the map and asks Hyung to look after Dingo for a while. Elsewhere, Mi-kyung is surrounded by bad guys and appears to have sent a distress signal. The enforcer tow truck, On and Hak, mockingly asks Mi-kyung why she is causing such a scene, demanding she come down. In response, Mi-kyung stands on the edge of a rooftop, shouting that she already refused, but they kept chasing her. She demands to know why they are doing this. On-in urges her to reconsider, but Kim Cheol and Ma Jong-in step forward, insisting on handling things their way, and pointing out that, since they are in a redevelopment area, nobody will come to Mi-kyung's rescue. Kim Cheol tells her not to waste her energy, and reminds her that they all have traits, then starts a countdown. Meanwhile, our boy is preparing his weapons, hiding in an alley. At the count of 2, he slings Kim Cheol, and on 3, Kim Cheol is struck. All the group members are confused, trying to figure out who is attacking them. Suddenly, our protagonist appears in a helmet and steps forward to strike On-in, debating whether or not to reveal his identity. Using the Indian War Club, Seong-ho hits On-in hard, then immediately goes for another member. This person emits black energy, making our hero suspect he has a vision-blocking trait, but Seong-ho is able to strike him anyway. Now, our hero is breathing heavily, and when he sees Mi-kyung, she warns him to watch out. He turns and sees Kim Cheol coming at him with a bat, which hits and damages his helmet. Seong-ho is shocked by the destructive force behind the attack. At the same time, Kim Cheol realizes who he is, but our boy is deep in thought, recognizing that Kim Cheol's offensive trait is extremely powerful, even at the early stages. Kim Cheol vows to cripple our protagonist, and his group members rise to back him up, determined to unleash their full strength despite being non-awakeners. On-in charges at our hero with electricity, mocking him as he approaches. Seong-ho is unsure what to do as his opponent shows off all his skills, and he wonders if he should use the dimensional gate. Just as On-in is about to strike, Dingo appears and bites On-in's arm. Hyung steps out from an alley, asking if this is really appropriate in broad daylight, and suggests the group should leave if they don't want trouble, stating he is calling 112. All the group members decide to retreat for now. Hyung comments that they look weak but still act arrogantly. Next, Mi-kyung comes down and immediately grabs our hero's head, checking if he is alright. She notes that his helmet is cracked, and Hyung offers our boy a piggyback. Seeing them both worried, Seong-ho's thoughts flash to his old comrades from the game. When Mi-kyung suggests a hospital visit, our protagonist turns away and insists he is fine. He then asks Hyung if they can bring Mi-kyung into their party. Hyung says it is not a problem as long as Mi-kyung has no objection, and she happily agrees. The hero leaves, saying he has some things to do, while Hyung and Mi-kyung are left wondering why he is acting so strangely. After returning home, our hero concentrates on controlling his emotions and planning for the second stage of his preparations. His abrupt departure was unavoidable, and seeing Hyung and Mi-kyung together made him feel like he could trust them with the secret of his abilities. But the decision was already made. To make the most of the dimensional gate, our boy must level up quickly and focus on gaining skills and farming. The phrase, "crush them with item power," echoes more strongly after fighting the mountain gang. He realizes that if he prepares for the apocalypse as planned, there will be a 3-level gap or more, causing monsters that respawn near him to be stronger and making it harder to team up with his 2 companions. He keeps working until he finishes installing a wood-burning stove in his hideout, knowing this will help him sleep well at night. Dingo enjoys the stove too, sleeping soundly next to it. Now, our protagonist has just a few more things to install when they arrive, and his initial hideout setup will be nearly complete. Determined, he decides to pull an all-nighter. With that, there are 16 days left until the apocalypse arrives. A news anchor updates viewers on the asteroid observed earlier. According to the report, the HSA has announced that Unjambi has entered the midpoint of the solar system. HSA is closely monitoring its trajectory, but the meteorite was split by Jupiter's gravity. In response, the head of the Meteorite Observation Department, Thomas Chandler, informs the public that the two fragments, Unjambi Alpha and Beta, have no chance of approaching Earth. However, Seong-ho remembers that on D5, just 5 days before the apocalypse, Unjambi Beta was the first to fall. It landed near a Russian ship in the ocean, and the resulting tsunami swept the ship ashore at Gamcheon Port, which is how zombies first appeared in Korea. The news anchor continues, reporting on the Uido shooting incident. President Jang Won-taek has not left his residence for a week, prompting opposition party leaders to issue a joint statement declaring their agreement to hold a hearing. Some people are now saying this is connected to the rumors about Awakeners and the impending disaster. Listening to this, our boy admits to himself that it really is the end of the world. He thinks it's a good thing that the media is finally showing interest in these matters, and concludes that it will be more difficult for Awakeners to commit crimes now. Next, he decides to check the community's reaction on his laptop. As our protagonist scrolls through the comment section, he sees that people have shared strong opinions about the situation. By coincidence, he spots a comment from My Dream and wonders if this person has been active all along. My Dream was a player known for being friendly to beginners, and Seong-ho's group had played with him a few times. My Dream's ambition was to build a bunker, and if our hero didn't have a portal, he might have been tempted to join. He decides not to enter any contract unless his veteran friends join My Dream, but he bookmarks My Dream's comment for later reference. After closing his laptop, our protagonist looks forward to building his second shelter. The next day, Seong-ho stands in front of his hideout and realizes it's possible to pull 2 all-nighters in a row. He feels exhausted, but seeing his completed exterior gives him energy. It's time to figure out how to use the electricity generated by solar panels. Simply put, there are several wiring steps to make the electricity compatible with his electronic devices. Luckily, when our boy puts his phone on charge, it works. He raises his arms in delight, announcing that he has now built the foundation for survival in this world. For the first time in a while, he feels a rush of dopamine. Yesterday, he also collected luminous and ignition stones, and after further digging, he found a mineral harder and sharper than obsidian, called emerus. Although it's currently useless, he still considers it better than nothing. He decides to install LED lights later, but before sleeping, he needs to organize the food supplies in the basement. Suddenly, a loud noise from Dingo grabs his attention. Rushing outside, Seong-ho finds Dingo facing off against maned wolves, a type of monster he recognizes from Sura. He wonders why these creatures, which usually live in high-altitude areas, are here. Observing Dingo's anger, our hero suspects these might be the wolves that killed Dingo's mother. He tries to calm Dingo, but deep down, he knows he can't defeat all the wolves at this moment. If he moves to fetch a better weapon, he risks exposing his back and being attacked, which could be fatal. Therefore, our protagonist decides to focus on making the alpha wolf leave, knowing the rest will likely follow. He observes the wolves' super cautious behavior and notices they only move when the alpha acts first. Next, he considers whether they can coordinate an attack. He also notes that these wolves are extremely sensitive to scents. Fortunately, Seong-ho has pepper spray with him. If he can spray it on the alpha, he'll be able to drive it away from the shelter. Sweat trickles down his face as he considers the risk of being attacked before he can act. He wonders if there's a way to distract it and strike with the spray. Suddenly, an idea comes to mind, and he believes it is logically possible. Determined to defend the hideout he built with his own hands, our boy braces himself. He instantly throws a knife at the alpha, but it dodges. The alpha then leaps at our hero, but when it gets close, Seong-ho opens the portal and, seizing the chance, sprays the animal. The alpha loses composure, and then our protagonist drives his knife into its eye. With that, the wolf pack retreats. Our hero sits down, having narrowly escaped death. Dingo comes over to care for him, and Seong-ho pats Dingo's head in appreciation. He promises Dingo that he'll avenge its mother in the future. With that, only 15 days remain until the apocalypse arrives. Finished with organizing the basement, Seong-ho went over to the hardware and pharmacy store with the goal of finishing minimal defense supplies. Bro has gone 68 hours without sleep by now, and dealing with the wolves on top fatigued him more. Still, Seong-ho thinks that he may have gotten lucky in that previous encounter. If those wolves were werewolves instead, this dude would have been molested straight up. He even thinks that he may have gotten careless, only caring about the monsters closer to him, without considering different variables that might occur randomly. Forced into a corner, Seong-ho entertains the idea of expanding the land and building a proper shelter. His surveys with the drone point him in the same direction. Hyungjin welcomes our boy from afar, while Seong-ho is still lost in thought, believing that he could secure more space for farming and storing supplies with his new plans. Once he's finished establishing a second line of defense, he's going to aim for Bluetooth beacons for an increased signal range. His friend keeps calling his name and snaps Seong-ho back by asking him what he's doing here. Keeping it simple, Seong-ho replies that he's here to purchase a bunch of stuff. Jimbro thinks that he came to buy some weapons, which is a strange assumption because they're standing in front of a hardware store. Hyungjun reveals that he's not the one interested, but rather this gorgeous baddie is interested. She's one of the members of their team. After purchasing his stuff, Seong-ho learns that his buddy over here ran into this girl, and he's trying to stop her from purchasing weapons at the store. But this girl's pretty stubborn about her decision. Seong-ho thinks it's better to hand her the short summary he chalked up. But even after showing it, this girl still doesn't buy it at all. She's staring our boy down with an icy glare, which freaks him out to the point he calls her out. Suddenly the girl speaks, remembering that this dude is actually the owner of the Teokbokki restaurant, to which our boy confirms that he is. She's really stunned by his appearance and his shift in personality. Seong-ho assumes that she thinks he's being rude and apologizes, but she reaches for her wallet and hands him a card instead. This young lady is Jo Soo-yeon, and believe it or not, she's actually a doctor. Talk about being intelligent and hot. Right after figuring out that she's a doctor, Seong-ho taught her the basics of the game, in the same manner he did with Hyungjun and Mik-young. The doctor concludes that she doesn't really care. She thinks that the game doesn't really have a scientific answer to it. Seong-ho confirms that it's just a brain-dead game, but Soo-yeon's not finished yet. One thing is bumming her out. She instantly points out that he's an awakener himself. Our boy's a little bummed out by her assumption, but Soo-yeon is pretty damn smart. She can tell that his explanations of the game are so vivid that there's no chance in hell that this dude hasn't played the game. Soo-yeon doesn't pursue the thought any further and thanks our boy for his summary. Meanwhile, Hyungjun is out here feeling jealous for not explaining things properly. The doctor hilariously tells him that he doesn't even compare to the level of depth that Seong-ho has about the game. Grateful for his help, Soo-yeon befriends Seong-ho for being a good person. Another pretty baddie added to the harem roster. The very next day, our boy is back in his room cleaning his spear blade. This new weapon looks pretty good, and he's curious to test it in battle. Seong-ho's initial setup is now complete, so he calls our favorite dog Dingo and explains that they're gonna go avenge his mother. It's not exactly revenge, but still, it's gonna be a huge problem if some intruder discovers Seong-ho's hideout. That's why they need to act quickly and take care of those dangerous people quickly. In the next scene, John Wick and his dog are ready to kill some bitches. On this mission, Dingo's got an important role to play. Currently, they're staring down a pack of wolves, but strangely, there are only 4 of them in sight. The really interesting part is the lack of an alpha wolf among them. Upon closer inspection, Seong-ho realizes what's really going on. An owlbear is ferociously tearing apart the wolves' flesh, having slaughtered a few of them together. Seong-ho thinks this guy is pretty convenient for cleaning up a bunch of them. The thing about the manned wolf pack is that, the moment it loses its alpha, the pack crumbles without a leader. Their senses are scattered and they become very confused, leading to a lack of coordination. This is the perfect moment for our boy to take each of them down one by one. Speaking of which, one wolf rushes towards him, but Seong-ho casually deploys his web trap and catches it with ease. The same ferocious wolf is reduced to a puppy, wailing in fear of being devoured. But these cheap tricks won't work on our boy, who instantly kills it with his spear. Now I kinda feel bad for the wolf, but we gotta secure the mission. With one wolf down, 3 points are gained. The remaining 3 wolves are drawn to Seong-ho's presence as he runs off. All 3 of them become hyper-aggressive and start chasing after them. 2 scatter from the side while one lunges from up top to secure the kill. But not to worry, bug spray to the rescue. Seong-ho downs one, but he's still being attacked by 2 others from each direction. First, he clocks his right, plunging the spear deep inside the wolf's belly. The other one tries to use this opportunity for some backshots. Except Dingo comes to our boy's rescue with a powerful tackle. With another wolf killed, he gets 3 more points. Seong-ho menacingly declares that he just needs to stab each of them until they're dead. Bro isn't in danger, he is the damn danger. With a bunch of wolves defeated, our boy reaches level 5 and gains additional effects to his special trait. Curious, he inspects his gate's properties. The new feature is that his gate is now invisible to everyone else. Then there's a projection effect allowing him to hear sounds from any projected location. To test it out, Seong-ho casts the gate immediately. This time, he can actually see through his house without having to travel to the other side. The transparency works too, so no one's going to be able to detect his ability anymore. Besides, Seong-ho was worried that he might have accidentally crossed into a dungeon without knowing about the threat level through his gate. But thanks to this projection effect, the risk is eliminated. The fact that this effect sprung up at level 5 also implies that more effects wait for him as he reaches higher levels. He never even assumed that these unimportant levels could hold rewards for him, but still, he's got a lot on his plate that he's got to do. Starting with burying the corpses of his victims, the wolf pack. 2 days after the subjugation of the wolves, our boy marked down and did a bunch of things. Firstly, he went to the other world and conducted another survey with his drone. Setting the radius around 1 kilometer, he was able to find a bunch of different but harmless animals. Even now, there wasn't any sighting of a goblin or even a kobold. No monsters at all. Next, Seong-ho aimed to obtain information about the goblin nest 30 kilometers away. That kind of nest is supposedly large enough to have a bunch of hobgoblins too, which means defeating them will be really difficult. Now that he'd gained real confidence about their safety, Seong-ho felt that it was just the right time to start expanding. Bro became Chainsaw Man alongside his version of Pochita and mowed down the trees, clearing the area, flattening the ground, and transforming the same hideout into a proper shelter base. Dingo was the MVP. He helped create a large circle acting as a boundary. Seong-ho played it extra safe and even set up 2 whole layers of barbed wire fencing alongside a moat. Now he just needed to dig it 2 meters deeper for a combined effect with the wire. While he was doing all of this, he also watched TV thanks to his projected portal. The government freshly announced plans to carry out a proper investigation into Awakeners. In the real world, Seong-ho actively bought materials from hardware stores. He visited multiple home renovation stores to obtain tool sets. Then on the way back to his place, he even spied on Cheolchen's hideout. If that wasn't enough, Seong-ho even went on a limb to rent a motorcycle and a mini excavator that he could eventually use with added training. The little blue toad continued to be an excellent support for him. Seong-ho routinely injected a small amount of poison to build up resistance, but eventually he had gathered enough of it to merge with a weapon of his choosing. In his room, he finds himself completely shocked. Survivor 1, a dude with literally 4,500 hours spent on the game, joined the mission. This made Seong-ho wonder about the Uedo shootout, alongside the government's shady control over the media, even the incidents of the president's behavior being cooped up in one place. All 3 of these events may look like coincidences on the surface, but our boy knows that it's much deeper than that. His initial theory has always been the same, that Survive 1 is collaborating with the president and his safety, but that's only because he thought this guy would know about the background story taking place. Survivor 1 is supposed to be an item collector, so this guy definitely would have asked for a huge shelter from the president in exchange for the information. He also picked his target of collaboration carefully, choosing the president to gain the highest leverage and authority. The situation is complicated. Seong-ho wonders if this is all just a huge bluff, but then again, my dream doesn't fit. His contemplation is starting to cause a headache, but Seong-ho has reached an answer. If both Survivor 1 and My Dream are collaborating, then our boy intends to change his personal strategy as well. In the next scene, we watch Mr. Four Eyes creating a new score and VR ID. He wonders if he's going to get a response back, because it could lead to a postponement of his plans. My Dream actually responds really damn fast, because some of these gamers are allergic to a job or social life, I guess. Even Bro thinks that this guy is unemployed, but he really wants to check if this guy is legit or not via the VR chat. The chat is initiated, with My Dream joining the White Room. Classroom of the Elite fans will get this reference. Both players confront each other. My Dream is particularly annoyed with this dude's unknown alias. Even when he agreed to come here, this guy is out here wearing a stupid duck face. The offended duck apologizes and doesn't care. My Dream takes it as a sign that he's dealing with a veteran who wants to hide his identity, but Duckface keeps him in the dark. My Dream tests him with 3 important questions. Only then will he acknowledge this stupid duck. The first question is regarding the maximum jump height of a werewolf, to which our boy fires back immediately with 3 meters. He even knows about an owlbear's weakness, which is basic as shit. Light is the answer. Finally, the evolution stages of zombies alongside their forms. Duckface responds that instead of having infection abilities, these zombies consume actual nutrients for their functioning. Accumulating the nutrients allows them to evolve into ghouls. Interestingly, some even become enhanced zombies before that stage. My Dream then pitches a 4th question, despite claiming that he was going to ask only 3. Our boy refuses to tell him the exact number of precursor events in the story. With this, the player laughs, admitting that Duckface really is a veteran. Our boy is pretty annoyed and demands this guy to hit up Survivor 1 and make him join the call. However, that can't happen right now. My Dream doesn't even give a reason, to which our duck-faced protagonist calls straight up bullshit on. Changing topics, this guy tips his fedora and hints that something is about to happen very soon. Our boy is starting to think that this guy might actually be crazy at this point. It's almost as if he's saying filler lines to stall for something. Suddenly, a chill runs down his spine the moment he realizes what's going on. My Dream exits the chat, while our boy realizes that this dude was actually doxing him the entire time. Right then and there, a man enters the cafe with 2 security guards, ordering them to lock the doors. The receptionist emphasizes that they're supposed to make a payment over the counter for their allotted time, but this guy straight up grabs her arm, emphasizing that they're here to find someone instead of playing games. The one part that bothers Seong-ho is that My Dream is supposed to be playing it chill and undercover, but strangely he's going on the offensive. By the way, this guy's ability is similar to Lelouch from Code Geass, being able to control the receptionist's mind. Anyway, our boy is in a pickle. He's got to make a run for it, because if he's caught, the same will happen to him. so he heads over to the restroom and pops open the dimensional gate ability. Meanwhile, the guy searching for him is going around spamming his mental ability on everyone for Seong-ho's identity. So far, they've checked every area except one, leading him to the restroom. The guy is supremely confident that our boy's hiding here. Opening each stall, he wonders if this dude is a stealth-type assassin. You know, it's gonna be really funny if this dude whacks open the door and finds a random guy shitting. Anyway, my dream is pretty confident dealing with stealth-type monsters. He splashes a bucket of water to scan the environment, sensing any uneven edges. He's also flailing his hands, hoping to find Seong-ho. The thing about our boy is that he did summon his gate, but luckily he laid it flat against the wall. Actually, this guy is currently standing face-to-face with the same portal. He just can't see it. After his inspection, my dream confesses that his assumption of our boy being a stealth user was wrong. That leads him to a second conclusion, that Seong-ho must be a movement specialist. Budget Nanami orders his group to scan the whole area, reminding his men that there's going to be a big reward for his capture. Observing the situation from his portal, Seong-ho confesses that despite being rich in reality and humble in the game, he didn't want to come to this state of things. He actually thanks my dream in his head for making everything clear. All this time, Seong-ho had been conflicted, but now, he's damn near certain of what he has to do. Revealing himself, he intends to fight pettily and will no longer hold himself back from responding to violence. His opponent sighs, questioning where Seong-ho is hiding in secrecy. He's operating under the assumption that this guy is movement-based, but even then, a veteran with tons of hours accumulated won't be that easy to track. Hilariously, our boy pops up from behind like a ghost and says hi. My dream notices him in the mirror as Seong-ho lunges right in with a spear strike. The poisonous spear slashes his leg, and within seconds, he is influenced by its effects. This guy was trying to aura farm all this time, and one slip-up resulted in his doom. Without confirming his identity, our boy slams his face into the wall, reminding him that he's not supposed to turn back. He then mocks the guy for the pain of the poison that is currently coursing through his veins. Every time he tries to talk, Seong-ho reminds his bitch ass to shut up. Next, he clutches his blade, stating how the apocalypse and tutorial hasn't even begun yet. The same goes for the murderer system. Saying so, Seong-ho slashes the guy's gun wrapped around his belt. Adopting a serious and terrifying tone, Seong-ho brutally declares that he won't even get penalized if he kills him right now. His blade hovers around the guy's neck, but he stays quiet like a good boy. Seong-ho is impressed that this dude knows how to shut up for once. His body flops, despite being conscious. It won't move for a while because of the poison. First question, Seong-ho inquires why this dude was trying to sell out Survivor 1 and targeting innocent people because of it. Instead, the same dude who tried to hunt others was now just a paralyzed victim, a pathetic monster that could be farmed without lifting a finger. My dream curses Seong-ho, who takes his gun and reminds him that this is the price he'll pay for even entertaining the idea of capturing him. Our boy grabs his knife and chillingly threatens to actually kill this guy if they see each other. After this, Seong-ho ended up escaping the cafe long before my dream's group arrived. He safely made it home and then went to the other dimension. Here, he took apart the gun and began inspecting this guy's ID. The guy's name is Kwon Kyung-jun. He's in his late 30s, runs a golf club, and actually controls 3 bunkers through them. Finally, bro's a sugar daddy to multiple women, which means he gets all the bitches and the bread. For his abilities, Seong-ho assumes that he's got something really powerful based on the number of hours he spent on the game. The skill is related to mind control, that much is clear. All of this useful information is now Seong-ho's to use. Of course, skills aren't supposed to improve just because someone spent a few thousand hours in the game. Even Valorant and Counter-Strike no-lifers spend 10,000 hours only to remain hard stuck. Anyway, Seong-ho understands that the game always valued survival above everything, so his own portal skill is basically a cheat for veterans. For now, he wants to keep this a theory until he's able to confirm another veteran's skill. Next, Seong-ho tests the gun, contemplating that the apocalypse was soon to come. He's certain about one thing with absolute conviction, and makes his way through the forest following Dingo's lead. Here, the dog barks at an interesting area. Dead bodies of police officers alongside a bunch of goblins are just lying around. Keeping his composure, our boy checks on the status of the bodies. Turns out one of the officers is actually alive. Though he doesn't have any fatal wounds on him, he's been hit with a paralysis poison effect. But the more worrying part is his missing weapon, even though it's also possible that he never had one in the first place. In any case, Seong-ho puts both bodies together and tells them to rest here for 30 minutes for the effects to subside. Then he turns his head around to inspect the corpses of the goblins. From first glance, he spots a bunch of bullet holes, which confirms that the police officers actually did have a gun. The big question is, why is the gun missing only? After thinking about it for a while, Seong-ho reaches a revelation, suspecting that this is the work of a gold goblin. But that excites him, because he really wants to hunt it down for himself. With the new plan set, our boy proceeds to dial emergency service through his phone. He'd also left a note with the precise location and even instructions to bury the goblin corpses. Seong-ho understands that monsters are already a thing in the eyes of the public, so playing the safe and stealth game is pointless. Right now, he's in a fight against time, and he's hoping that this tiny murder machine over here can help him out. In a different area, a fight is breaking out between a goblin and a non-awakened person. The goblin dodges his swing and gets away. There are 3 of them left, while the homeboy questions his captain if this is really the right way to go about things. He doesn't get why he has to play the role of a tanker when he doesn't even have any abilities to begin with. The captain uses his skill, having an edge in psychokinesis. The only problem with this skill's casting is that it takes a while to actually use. Bro's got a bunch of rocks ready and now he's throwing them to smash the goblin's body. He's playing the part of support, while his buddy asks when the rest of the party members are going to arrive. His captain hears that the party went up to the Gyasan mountain, but apparently they've been stopped and were unable to climb up the mountain. This is a striking revelation to the average Joe, who doesn't have any abilities. He wants to retreat, but his captain believes they should push on. 3 goblins jump the guy and are about to beat his ass, when more rocks smash their faces and divert them. The good thing is that these goblins aren't as strong as they were in the game. The captain simply tells this guy to keep pushing while keeping composure. As long as they can deal with a bunch of monsters and capture the hobgoblin group, they'll end up with a significant advantage. Mr. Psychokinesis is so busy lecturing his buddy that he drops his guard and gets whacked by a goblin's mace. Now that his hand is fucked up, this guy can't control his ability. Even more is how a shitty goblin managed to outsmart him with a counter strategy. Yeah, if I was him I would just give up. Now that they were completely defenseless, the 3 goblins surrounded them and began to lunge from every direction. Things were really looking like the end of the road for these amateurs, when suddenly a bolt shot right through the goblin's head. A second and third shot follows and injures the other 2 goblins. Much to their confusion, the party of 2 has no idea what's going on. They look into the dark forest, questioning where the arrow even came from. In the next scene, our boy is seen with his combat bow. At first, he contemplates if he really made the right move to step in and waste his ammo. At the same time, Seung-ho is just glad that he was able to confirm important information regarding the Awakeners. First, he learned that these guys were being prevented from climbing up the mountain. Second, he encountered a group of goblins who were already pretty weakened. Using these 2 strands of information, Seung-ho concocts his next plan. He's already prepared a method to deal with the goblin group. His strategy is actually very simple. The idea revolves around provoking the goblin, which can be done by throwing a stone. After rage-baiting the green-balled midget, he'll draw the goblin towards the dimensional portal gate with simple cues. When the goblin is close enough to the gate, Seung-ho will release an attack from the other side, with the obvious advantage of being able to see through his gate while also remaining transparent in front of others. With the first goblin severely injured, it will scream and grab the attention of its allies. Using the same dimensional gate as a wall, Seung-ho will forcibly pull his spear back, out of the goblin's body, erasing all evidence of his attacks. Now let's discuss the reaction of the hobgoblin, who already has a high perception stat in the game. It will notice its dead subordinate, and immediately point fingers towards the other goblins for plotting its death. This will form chaos within the goblin group, causing disharmony and leading the other goblins away from their leader. Using that key opportunity, the calculating Seung-ho will materialize from the other side and cut their heads clean off, maintaining the clear advantage of making the first move. The same will continue in repeat fashion. His plan is going pretty smoothly so far, but the problem is, Seung-ho needs to be wary of certain behavioral patterns of the other goblins. To his shock, our boy faces an interesting situation. The hobgoblin faces him while the gold goblin runs away with the loot, implying that they had a fallout. This is bad news for our boy, who now has to employ an emergency gamble. His immediate problem is Captain Mustard gaining up on him with speed. Seung-ho genuinely has no other options here, so he does his best to block the forceful smash. Even after blocking it, his body suffers the shock of the attack and smashes into a tree. Seung-ho is now trembling and wounded. Things are really looking bad for him. The hobgoblin wastes no time in finishing him off. If our boy goes down here, he knows he's mega levels of cooked. The mace blitzes full speed in his direction with the aim of smashing his brains out. Seung-ho's health decreases in that key moment, activating his critical skill survival instinct. Flashing a yellow glare, this man responds to the hobgoblin's attack at point-blank range. Instead of attacking the monster, he races after the gold goblin, an excellent move. Thanks to the gun he obtained from Kyung-jun, he aims it at the creature's head and blasts a headshot, killing the gold goblin immediately. Right then, he calls for the dimensional gate. Seung-ho has achieved the first phase of his farming mission, but there's still a problem he has to deal with. That being the hideous monster coming after him. Our boy brings out his gun to a melee fight and starts shooting the creature down. The hobgoblin can't withstand the might of the American-style breathing technique and gets mogged. Seung-ho pays back the hobgoblin with double the love by slashing the creature all over its body in style. The hobgoblin screams and dies, increasing our boy's level to 6 and netting him 16 points. At last, his difficult quest is over. He checks on the new skill he gained called Terrain Sense, which allows him to sense and respond to surrounding terrain. Interestingly, just like last time, Any items that he used or held ended up upgraded and turned into actual items. Seong-ho can't waste time because he realizes that a search party is coming this way. Having acquired what he came here for, our boy manifests the dimensional gate and walks inside, knowing that he just has to rest in his hideout until the search party is finished. The following day, Seong-ho is woken up by everyone's favorite dog. He checks his watch and realizes that he actually slept for an entire day because of his injuries. Knowing the risks of survival instinct, Seong-ho intends to use it only in extreme situations. Before going out on his next mission, he's curious about the loot he grabbed from the gold goblin. He pulls out all the stuff and lays it on the table. There's a bunch of revolvers, a dagger, and some other stuff. These goblins were the best when it came to this stuff. Seong-ho is fine with the revolver, but the real prize in his eyes is the mithril knife he snagged. This baby is a weapon with permanent invariance, a rare thing in the game. It's one of the only weapons out there that won't be affected by the incoming disease catastrophe. But the one question that bugs him is how a goblin was able to obtain such a rare item that costs a whopping 100 points in the shop. Inspecting every inch of the blade, Seong-ho realizes that it is flawed and imperfect. During his contemplation, he reaches an enlightenment. The goblins of this world carried metal weapons. Because of their intelligence, it's not possible for such creatures to make them on their own. This begs the question, did a sudden mutation occur and change the course of their civilization? This meant that even smarter goblins were out there experimenting like research goblins. However, this theory is baseless for now and our boy knows it. He wants to test it later, but for now, he's more interested in unpacking the tiny satchels. Hitting the lottery, Seong-ho pulls out a bunch of shade grapes. This unique fruit enhances a person's night vision. Carrying them also makes sense because it's the one reason that these goblins can easily move at night. Popping open the status window, our boy inspects his growth rate. He's pretty happy with what he's got, because his current growth rate is faster than what it was in the game. With the basic stuff concluded, Seong-ho knows it's time to return to the real world. Invoking his ability, he crosses the portal while scrolling on his phone. His phone is buzzing like crazy the moment he gets his signals back. Hyungjun, Mikyoung, and even Suyeon have all texted to check on his status. With the kind of attention bro is getting, he's starting to wonder if he's the cool guy now. First, he wants to head over to the fitness center. So in the next scene, we find Seong-ho popping the door open to meet his friends. Before he could even greet them, they ran towards him, happy to see him in one piece. And yes, the one piece is real. Never forget that. Curious, our boy asks about the rest of the unfamiliar faces. Hyungjun brings them forward, introducing the new guys as his party members. Lee Kyung-hoon and Kim Bora greet him nicely as they exchange pleasantries. Seong-ho expected at least one more party member, but it turns out that this person is busy purchasing camping gear at the discount store. Our boy is astonished to hear a place like that exists, causing Mikyoung to intervene and confirm that it's actually super modern and opened recently. Jimbro asks if our boy's up to date with the incident on the news, to which Seong-ho agrees, stating that he's all caught up on MeTube. Maybe we should make a channel there too. The same doctor who took apart the goblin's body from Gyeosan Mountain went into a state of panic and warned everyone to prepare for the coming apocalypse. The president of the country also held a national meeting, announcing how they're trying their best to confirm the location of the creator of the game. Hyungjun wonders what Seong-ho's next big goal is. The whole party is gathered here all because of our boy's rich knowledge of the game. Kyung-hoon is a little ticked off that Hyungjun is still seeking advice when he's already told him that goblins obviously give points. So if an awakened person killed a monster, they would just jump from level 1 to 2, so the objective would be to stock up supplies. Now my man is watching this dude talk absolute bullshit out of his ass, not having any idea of how wrong he is. Addressing him, Seong-ho reveals that all of that is wrong. This lousy prick cuts our boy off by asking if he's played the game, acting like a stubborn Redditor who can't even listen to another opinion. Seong-ho maintains that he hasn't to hide his identity, but that's enough for this guy to yap and deal the killing blow that trusting the community blindly isn't wise. Bora, the other girl, turns to ask this guy a question. She's really curious about the process of zombie spores and quizzes him to learn how the infection spreads. She also demands for any conditions involved in the process. In response, this dude ridiculously states that anyone who has ever made contact with an awakened person wouldn't become a zombie, which is the strangest response ever. Slamming the table, Kyung-hoon gets up to maintain his high ground just because he has become an awakened himself. He thinks his experience is everything, and even if casual non-awakened players interacted with him, they'd automatically become safe from the spores. It's a whole lot of nothing, but Bora is somehow easily convinced and holds on to him like he's some kind of expert. Then comes Mikyoung with her own question, asking if this guy has cleared the difficult tutorial. Kyung-hoon cuts her straight off again, emphasizing that he'll protect her so there's nothing to worry about. This pretentious douchebag is agitating in Seong-ho's eyes. He gives Kyung-hoon some level of credit with his theory, but also understands that there's absolutely zero evidence that grants awakened people complete immunity from the spores. Seong-ho thinks this whole conversation is dead because of one dude, and finally understands why Hyungjun called him. Forgetting about this troll and his antics, our boy gets up to leave, even though both his friends urge him to stay. Seong-ho has no interest in sharing his knowledge with a troll like this guy, so he bids them farewell with the intention of meeting again later. After leaving the fitness club, he crops out a bunch of places to farm points before the iron disease arrives. Seong-ho's interested in the camping gear store his friends told him about. Eventually, after all his plans, he stood in front of his house, only to spot the elegant Suyeon. She actually had something to give him, and was patient enough to wait. Suyeon whips out a first aid kit, but really it's a pack of painkillers and some other antibiotics that can never be bought without prescription. It's a special gift. Seong-ho is really stunned by her gesture. The doctor also ends up revealing her address, but she's already done the part of writing it down in the pouch. Again, our boy's confused why she's doing all that. But this cute doctor thinks it's only natural that she shares her location in return for knowing him. By the way, I'm Team Suyeon because Mikyung just seems like an off-brand Chahain like I said earlier. Bidding him farewell, Suyeon hastens for her appointment with the director. As she's walking away, suddenly she remembers one last thing. Suyeon smiles and reminds him to pay for the medicine. She gave him the address for a reason after all. After hearing that, Seong-ho is dead lost. He just can't figure out Suyeon's intentions, or read her behavior at all. With their parting, time flew by. During those hours, our boy walked all over the city, collecting different stuff from different stores. Then he went on to create a proper storage facility, and after adding sandwich panels, he was ready to load some of his stuff inside. Remember that mini excavator that he booked? Seong-ho began using that to the max for his construction work. Eventually, the state of the world grew more climactic. Chaos from the public, jumbled politics, arguing over the truth, and skeptics going back and forth. All of these factors led to an emergency meeting with the UN, talking about the President of the United States' plans to visit Korea. And at long last, the HSA sensed something that they couldn't have fathomed ever before. On top of everything that was going to happen, the asteroid to kickstart the zombie era was blazing its way to Earth. 4 days later, Seong-ho finds himself at the Gamcheon port, staring at the luscious oceanic scenery. This is where the final backstory or precursor event called the Russian ship event will take place. After making sure that absolutely no one was around, Seong-ho entered an abandoned building to make last-minute preparations. Here he casts open the gate, explaining his reason to come here despite the high probability of becoming a zombie. He wants to obtain a bunch of different guns from the ship. The thing about zombie spores is that they're pathogens in the form of particle beams. It's not something you can easily avoid. Becoming a zombie here or 5 days later didn't make a difference at all, especially not to someone who didn't live with his family. Seong-ho understood that he could always live in the other world with Dingo, but then his life would have no meaning to his existence as a human. Wrapping up his preparations, he gets to work, clarifying that he isn't out here for a suicide mission. He's just making a choice many others would never be brave enough to make, a choice of choosing the high road for a higher gain. That's what life is anyway. Seong-ho checks the patch notes about this part of the story and assumes the 10-point weapon is an ebony club, but it makes him wonder how weak the state of the zombies will be at this part of the game. There will also be point influences after the asteroid's arrival. The details are written with so much confidence that it's certain that the game creator knew all of this would happen. Seong-ho was on his phone when the situation got worse. He receives an emergency text regarding a tsunami warning linked to the third precursor phenomenon. In the next scene, the water touches the shoreline, going higher with every pulse. Out in the ocean, there's a ship that is literally being tossed with the waves. Seong-ho realizes that the water has flooded the city, and now he's left with the choice of beating monsters or zombies. Watching the ship closely, he shares how hopeless natural disasters made humans feel. Still, he had to operate in this level of chaos and make his next move using his boat. Seong-ho runs at full speed while supporting his craft, before jumping straight down a building, knowing he is short on time. He needed to resolve all of this before the arrival of government agents. Sometime later, he anchors himself with the ship. So far, things are okay. The thing about Awakeners is that they don't become zombies, which means Kyung-hoon was surprisingly right about his theory. In fact, our boy doesn't even feel an annoying sensation. That's good news already, so he climbs the ladder for the second phase of the plan. Here, zombies are lurking about on the ship. He calls for them and draws their attention. Bro has come here in shorts with a shield and a mace looking like a Power Ranger. The zombies in the game were always special in their properties. Because of the game, they couldn't spread the virus, but they treated everything around them as prey. They also had a propensity to become stronger with more nutrients absorbed. Seong-ho charges right back at the zombies and smashes one of them with his shield. After tackling the first one, he takes his mace and begs the zombie to brace its jaw. And then this man goes on to give him really good plastic surgery by smashing his face. With how easy these two went down, Seong-ho wonders if the zombies were nerfed too hard. He gains 2 points, and remembers how it required at least 2 or more hits to kill a zombie before, but not only needed one. Remembering what happened with the orcs, he refuses to let his guard down. Making that kind of mistake twice was going to cost him his life. Next, Seong-ho checks on the hallway and finds a bunch of zombies trapped inside. Some are walking around, so he quickly goes up ahead and starts bullying them left and right. Seong-ho's goal is to find a pistol, so he sets his sights on the wheelhouse. But then he hears a gunshot, shocking him completely. There's no way someone managed to survive the zombies of the ship. Rushing towards the source of the noise, Seong-ho admits that non-awakeners are randomly lucky after coming in contact with awakeners and surviving the spores because of them. His priority is to save this person so he can get more information. But the moment he arrives, the poor guy is already dead. This person has a picture of his loved one in his hands right before he died. Naruto Uzumaki couldn't become the 7th Hokage in this universe, but it's a great help to Seong-ho that he could take this guy's gun for himself. Then he lays him out flat for a proper rest and exits the room. Being accustomed to tragedy is something Seong-ho needed to get used to, as it will become commonplace after the tragedy. It is natural that he would have to kill people of his own kind just to maximize his own chances of survival. While he's untying the anchor, Seong-ho astonishes himself when he sees someone jet skiing on the side. This means that just like him, another player is here to farm points. They cross paths, but our boy exits the ship with what he needs. He doesn't care much about the person going there at all. The following day, it's early morning when the news starts talking about the disappearance of the game developer. No one can find this guy for answers, and ever since the president received proof of zombies, he's been taking decisive action non-stop. To summarize, Seong-ho thinks that the leader of their country thinks in a very similar manner to him. Remembering one last thing, our boy calls Lee Woobyum, the administrator at the countermeasure headquarters. Immediately our boy drops the bombshell of the exact time of the doomsday to begin. To confirm his identity, Seong-ho mentions the gunshot wounds he inflicted on the hobgoblin. Woobyum is startled that this is actually the same player. Our boy makes him write important details at light speed, mentioning stuff like the exact date, the exact hour, and even the situation of a package arriving in the afternoon. Seong-ho hopes that the countermeasures department does well with this new information, and he wishes them great luck for the war to come. The president pulled off quite the decisive move. People on the forum community began to realize that the situation was getting worse and worse. Internet and electricity wasn't going to last long, though Seong-ho could only take these opinions with a grain of salt. He's unsure if all of this is really going to happen. But then an announcement is made, informing citizens to prepare a good amount of food and water for 4 days and return back to their families. The military is actively patrolling and demanding the people to stop all activities immediately. A proper statement will be issued by July 20th. Seong-ho observes all of this and thinks that this is the perfect response. He feels bad for not informing the people sooner about the state of the world to come. If he had only known how well the government would have handled all of this, then he would have gone all out from the beginning and exploited his trait. It seems like a huge miss, but Seong-ho copes by admitting that he still wouldn't have been able to stop the disaster. There is no point for him to dwell on what could have happened, only that he must remember his own promise. First of all, he's not some hero of justice, nor does he want to be. He's just an ordinary guy. Afterwards, we learn that the lockdowns and quarantines shook the state of the world and made it impossible to navigate. That's why Seong-ho spent his days in the other dimension. 3 days before the start of the apocalypse, he finished digging, but at a slow rate. He also chalked up all the videos he saved up regarding cooking and farming, because the internet won't exist soon enough. 2 days before the apocalypse, he scouted around the area with Dingo, and felt lucky finding a few golden apples. This made him wonder if this whole place was enchanted, and if it was blessed with being a fertile land. One final problem came up a day before the apocalypse. Apparently, Seong-ho found 2 packs of sweet potato jellies missing from his storage. There's also a dried grape here. The obvious assumption is that Dingo ate the jellies, but the honest dog shakes its head and denies his involvement. Seong-ho takes a teasing and forceful tone to get the truth out of him, but this poor little baby wails around, crying to prove its innocence. Smash a like on this video, justice for Dingo. Seong-ho now understands that it wasn't his little furball, but someone else. He decides to check the CCTV footage just to see what really happened. Seong-ho checks his laptop, astonished to discover a bunch of beetles invading his place through the doggy door. They took the jelly and left the grape as a payment. I don't know about you guys, but that is the cutest shit I've seen all day. The beetle even turned to thank the camera, signifying that these little guys are tremendously smart. Seong-ho's curiosity is getting the better of him, and now he really wants to interact with a couple of these guys. Just to be safe though, he locks the doggy door, much to Dingo's sadness. Our boy can't spend more time here in this world because of a few guests soon to meet up with him, so he opens the dimensional portal and goes back. In the next scene, Seong-ho is sat with all prominent party members and his friends, surprised that they all made it safely even with the lockdown. He spots an unfamiliar face again and learns that the new guy is the final addition to the team. This charming Prince Charming is Yuhyun, and he's already awakened. Unfortunately, he doesn't know much about the game, but he is an electrical engineering student, so he's got a lot of hands-on experience. Seong-ho loves this guy's addition and introduces himself as a non-awakener. Both are very polite when meeting each other. Anyway, Seong-ho wants to wrap up the important stuff quickly. He wants everyone to go through any information they have one by one, starting with Jimbro Hungjun. Walmart Yuji over here starts off by sharing an experience about his ex-wife. They were talking when the line was cut. Worried, he went searching for his daughter, but on his way back, he spotted a bunch of barricades being put up on the highway. According to his investigation, Hyungjun learned that they were trying to evacuate citizens near the petrochemical complex. It's the elegant doctor's turn next, who shares one piece of important information. Soohyun saw a shelter being built in the local park, which is shocking to witness, but it's actually true. Mikyung's up next. She was at the mart when she heard something about high-ranking officials opposing the president's decision. Apparently, the protesting officials were all detained. All of these findings are way more valuable than Seong-ho initially assumed. The ending was approaching, and the president's stance was pretty clear. He knows what's going to happen. So the big question is, why did he start off asking one by one? It's because in a network, it's important to have corresponding reasons according to someone's information. He could very well expose himself as a veteran and persuade them that way, but that would put him in great risk personally. Seong-ho starts talking, urging everyone to listen well to what he's about to say. Then he boldly declares the president's ultimate goal of creating a controlling apocalypse. His words immediately stun every person in the room. Seong-ho backs up his logic by mentioning the unexplained lockdowns and how all national facilities went to a halt. There's only one reason why the government would make such drastic changes in such a short amount of time. Soohyun puts two and two together and realizes that the end is near. She catches on quickly and deduces that the government is already confident of the exact day the apocalypse will unleash. Seong-ho confirms this and dubs July 20th as the suspected day. Panicking, Yoo-hyun gets up to inform his family, only for our boy to shout at him. He doesn't want these losers to lose their minds. Even if it sounds cruel, individual survival meant infinitely more than one's family. Seong-ho coldly reminds every person in the room that any one of them could turn into a zombie starting from tomorrow, so the terror of death is looming over all of them. Addressing the main point, he pulls out a bunch of files, acknowledging the real reason he called them here. It's because he's got a strategy for the tutorial phase, as well as detailed info on the survival aspect. Hyungjun questions his source of information, prompting Seong-ho to respond that he's watched the streams. He even apologizes to Mikyung for lying all this time, but she's fine because she did the same to him. But thanks to these files, the information can be used according to their needs. At the same time, Seong-ho begs them to follow the manual strictly just to clear the tutorial phase. After their meeting, midnight followed. This was going to be the final day of the world knowing peace before being sent to hell. Seong-ho had prepared for 32 days straight, leveling up in every domain to better his chances. Still, he thought there were imperfections, and that his anonymous status could easily end up in his own downfall later on. Even then, this valiant young man has no regrets, having made confident moves. Seong-ho watches his country launch missiles towards the approaching asteroid, coming in contact with the foreign object. He wonders if the end of the world is truly the ultimate unavoidable fate for humanity. The apocalypse has officially begun. Morning came and alongside, the lockdowns disappeared. All prep work by Seong-ho was completed. He installed bulletproof glass and high-strength durable doors. Then he followed the usual routine of injecting a small amount of poison, honing his resistant capability. Then this man did a workout, and I'm not bullshitting. He's doing 300 one-arm push-ups while being poisoned. Saitama cannot compete with this man's work ethic. Seong-ho switched into combat gear, looking fly as hello, then shared breakfast with his doggy. He waited for the announcement at 9, dozing off even. Suddenly the hour came and the television came on. The president sat to announce to his citizens. An overwhelming announcement declaring martial law, closing roads among other things. Seong-ho was so moved and impressed with the president's decisions that he thinks no other man could have possibly given their country a better ending. Seeing this sad state of him, he clutches the remote, unable to accept the ultimate end. Still, it's not like this fate can be avoided. It's something that humanity has to endure and survive. Only this time, Seong-ho won't be new to the apocalypse, but will enter it like a veteran who knows it all. 4 hours remain until the spores make contact. 2 of them were spent in the other world where he checked on his warehouse farmed items. Here, our boy set up equipment for the days that will come after the iron disease. Well, while he was spending time in the other world, humanity fell. Chaos rampaged as people hurt each other. Fights broke out between civilians. Nobody cared about anything anymore. This fatty was even hanging around with his butt cheeks out. He was ready for death, and a car hit him to send him to hell. Some people enjoyed killing others without remorse. The world was coming to an end after all. Side note, I'm really curious about how you guys would have handled a world-ending apocalypse like this. Tell me in the comments below. The blonde punk was behind the wheel and didn't even give a damn that this dude died. His friend thinks it's fine to get rid of the car because the iron disease is going to wipe out all vehicles soon enough. The other guy points his bat towards the rooftop, calling out the loser who's spying on them quietly. He has personal feelings towards our boy, and he wants to farm Seong-ho for points. Seong-ho doesn't get why this guy is acting all high and mighty, but he does spot flyers popping from the sky. Even at the edge of the apocalypse, the government is worried about its people. It's amazing to see them caring about others, unlike Seong-ho himself, who is ruthlessly selfish about personal survival. He knows that if more people acted for the interest of others, the apocalypse would be easy to deal with. Crushing the paper, he reflects on how this is an unrealistic standard. All he has to do is get back to his preparations. In the next scene, hardly 3 minutes remain until the spores make contact with the world. Seong-ho has collected a bunch of air tanks and wonders if there'll be enough before the disease takes over. He's already memorized every single route when it comes to replenishing his goods from the city. Looking at his watch makes Seong-ho wonder what would happen if he forgot to take it off. At this point, even he knows that he's worrying too much. So he keeps things simple and puts on the helmet. It's 1 p.m., so the spores have now made contact. Seong-ho resolves himself, kickstarting his bike and hoping that everything goes according to his plans. The scene shifts to the rise of the infection. The spores have begun affecting regular citizens. Life is sucked out of the people, and eventually flesh-eating corpses are all that's left. These growling purplish monsters are drawn to a certain noise. Seong-ho is racing full speed ahead against some of the zombies. Much to his surprise, there aren't that many in this area. It's a good thing, because most of the people who turned into zombies ended up staying home, dying alongside their families. The only part that intrigues him is to find someone who didn't turn into one. Still, things aren't looking bad. He sees a clear path ahead, taking a shortcut, knowing that it's better to avoid zombies while he's busy farming. The good thing? The stores still have the shutters up. This makes it easy to shatter the glass using his sledgehammer, which he does before going inside. Seong-ho commands the portal, knowing that he has to make quick moves. He grabs whatever he needs, knowing that it's going to take a while for the spores to fully mind control the zombies. His best bet is to raid the hardware store before that coordinated zombie assault begins, which would help him avoid any fights. By the way, our boy is currently tossing everything he can get his hands on. Bro floods his dog with a swarm of medicine. With the pharmacy fully raided, Seong-ho checks on his progress and realizes that he's actually moving much faster than he planned. Or so this dude thought, because the moment he arrives at the hardware store, he finds double layers of security. Again, he knew this would happen. That's why he brought the tanks with him. Seong-ho turns on the focused heat of the oxygen cutter. One small problem, this thing is way too loud, drawing surrounding zombies. Just taking one look around, Seong-ho remembers that even though their tracking senses were nerfed in the game, it only took them a few moments to locate the source of the noise. An entire horde had cornered him, spelling his doom.